decision. Get busy dying or live on. It's just a decision. You ain't gotta fake it till you make it no more.
Red Summers. The president still acting unpresidential. Bitch, I'm in the Bronx with the evil in my residential. It was all emojis, it was never mental. The silver spoon is under fire, and the pressure vented. The times that we living in unprecedented. We went from doing a Dougie fresh invented. Now the rhymes, they all pessimistic. They hashtagging black girl magic, just finesse the mystics. They impressed with quick chicks, only savages were less sadistic. They being less specific. No metaphysics, too many butter biscuit. They need extra biscuit. We had to bless the district. Fresh and death, we was dressed in drip. They worship lesser gods with the lesser mystics. Cocksuckers, all they breath is fish sticks. They team Takashi, yeah, they won't protect the witness. They team Takashi, yeah, they won't protect the witness. Hannibal, darker shit. And a harder fit, yeah, starting shit. That Marty Martyr with Sean Carter starter kit. Brooklyn, harder shit. The crimes of the passionate ones who fell in love with blasting their guns. My chain froze, same goes for Wayne Grove. The Range Road on strange roads. Dr. Strange mode on strange toes. Hack the brain, rearrange codes. 360 spinning clearly like a plane road. 365 winning really like a game host. 444 degrees on a range stove. On the coast of the mango. These niggas wanna know how power is obtained. If you act the shower posse, they'll tell you that it's hours of the rain. So when these cowards they remain, flowers is arranged, carriages remain. Drawn by 400 horses, there was power in the range. 19 blocks cutters overpowering them planes. They left all them towers up in flames. I never look at 24 hours just the same. Black power mixed with black power. You a mixture of that crack powder and Mr. Matt Lauer. Hashtag Mr. Me Too. You met Red Pillar, I suggest that you niggas meet Blue.
In the land of the brave, home of the giants, she was COVID compliant, she was COVID defiant. That was potent, reliant, we exposed in these tyrants. Composed of the science, we not posing or trying. Controlling the climates, yeah, we mold these environments. Scientists with client lists, Midas touch with iron fists. Holding arms, only way to catch these gems. Texas with an open palm, equestrians on open farm. Potent on that potent wand, rolling farms, coat of arms, Olympian. Kicked in doors, waving 44s. They wouldn't let me in. Shit, we talking like a thespian, walking like pedestrians. It's my requiem. Take you out front and center like ESPN. In the middle of the action, spitting with a passion. You get riddled if you passion. Shit, no dribble, we just passing. Off the scribble, we just cashing. Expand the vote, play above the rim. Earl ago, man ago. I turn from man to hoe, can of hoe. Let them hammers go. Spiritual cantaloupe, not even Amber Rope to stop me from slut shaming all these bitch niggas. Yeah, your man's a hoe. The only antidote to split is cantaloupe. Leave you bloody like an antelope with Serengeti's. Get ready, shit, no introductions necessary. We legendary, yeah, the story still unfolds. Yeah, they taking off like secretaries. Yeah, the heart is like the message heavy. About that life, but what we rep is deadly. Mystics in the forest, scientific witness Morris. All the shit I spit historic, like every day is February. Shit, you like it, I adore it. Shit, I write it, then record it. Recite it, then perform it. Excitement, I'm a
All right, my friends. There you have it. That is off the Red Summer album. Go and get your copy. All right. Go and get your copy. That's right. Go and get your copy. Okay. We got copies. Go and get your copy. And I don't care if you don't have a CD player. That's irrelevant. Y'all haven't been hearing them NFT conversations. This is about collectors, my niggas. Collect the items. You want to collect the physical items. Physical items appreciate in value. Art appreciates in value. I don't want to hold your hand through this thing and act like I'm twisting your arm. I shouldn't even have to sell it to you. It should sell itself. If you don't see the worth, that's on you. Don't come at me next year talking about I want the Red Summer. Well, that's $444. You said that I'm blurry. Let's fix that. Is that better? Is my shit in HD? Are we in HD? You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, I suggest you meet Blue. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. I promise you that we will have we're gonna have more whatchamacallit, more albums. I mean more videos coming up soon. Soon come. More videos, man. Soon come. All right. It just takes a while. You know, it takes a while. Mine is busy right now. Give me 1 minute. I'm launching this on Facebook. So I got to do a little bit of tweaking real quick. How y'all doing? How's the family doing out there in the building? Hope everybody's in good spirits and things of that nature. All right. Let's see. Facebook doesn't allow. Yo, Facebook, go suck your muma. You always got something that y'all. It's always a problem with Facebook. It's always a problem with Facebook. You know what I mean? With fake book. Oh, you a big fine woman. You should vax that thing out. Yeah, we got the Scorpion King on vinyl. Yes. Very soon. I have to master the album. I have to remaster the album. I'm sorry. I have to remaster the album. Right? I got Scorpion King right here. That's the original cop. This is some of from the original batch. I was going through my storage and found that the other day. But I want to remaster it. There's a little bit of tweaks that I want to do before I put it on vinyl. But yes, Twin the album, Scorpion King, I think Christ Consciousness, and definitely Red Summer is coming out on vinyl. Yeah, put that on your wall. You could frame that. That's the real those are collectors as well. Let's do roll call. Let's do roll call. Shout out to everybody in the building. Welcome to another episode of Third Eye Thursdays. Yes, you are now rocking with the best. This is your host, Brother Red Pill, representing one half of the Twin Pillars, representing Know the Ledge Media. That's Know the Ledge TV, radio, Know the Ledge University, Know the Ledger. You already know what it is. Yeah. And yeah, Blue Pill will be joining us in a little while. Let me send him his invite while I'm talking to y'all. And yeah, we're gonna be lit tonight. We're gonna have some conversations because we have an upcoming lecture, and it's time to beat the drums. It's time to let the family know what we're gonna be delivering. I need every single person that's in this live to join us on July 22nd, and then it's a 2-for-1. It's a twofer. I'm doing one July 22nd, and then I'm doing one July 29th. Fear of a BLACKAMOOR Messiah, July 29th. Emancipation Ain't Freedom is July 22nd. It's going to be a two-part series because that's how much information is out here in these streets. It's a lot of shit going on. Translation. It's a lot of shit. The dog days of summer have just started, and the shit started off with a bang. Got presidential assassinations. We got global intrigue. It's a whole lot of shit going on. You know what I'm talking about? We have a mercenary assassination teams being hunted down in fucking Haiti and burnt with tires. I mean, the shit is going down. So we're going to talk about some things and whatnot, but let's go ahead and do the roll call. All right, let's do the roll call. We see the family is in the building. Salute to everybody in the building. Let's do the roll call. Yes, we see. I'm going to start from the top. All right, I'm going to start from the top. I got you. Let's go. Gainesville, Georgia is in the building. All right. Harrisburg. Yes. Minnesota. All right. Little Goddess. Philly in the building. Los Angeles in the building. 707 in the building. No, my Wi-Fi is okay. Detroit in the building. East Tampa in the building. Trenton in the building. Tampa also in the building. Flatbush by way of Georgia. All right. Question for the family out there. How does the image look? Is it clear or is it fuzzy? I want to know. How does the image look? Is it clear or is it fuzzy? Myrtle Beach in the building. Michigan in the building. Yes, little goddess, I got you for that lecture. You in the building. Don't worry about it. Cocoa, Florida. They got that good cocoa out there. Oh, is it fuzzies? It's fuzzy. Oh shit. Okay. It's fuzzy. Oh shit. Somebody said 260 DP fuzzy. Well, what's going on here? Let me see something. Hold on. Okay, hold on a minute. We have to, cause it don't look like. Let me vax that ass up. Let me see. Let me wipe off the camera. Wiped off the camera. Somebody said it looks like they said it's 90s porn fuzzy. Oh shit. Let me see this on my phone. Give me a minute. Cause my Wi-Fi is on. It's raining outside. Maybe that could be it. It's raining outside, but we're not gonna blame the rain, are we? Let's see what we got here. Go to your channel. Let's see what we got here. Yeah, my shit kind of fuzzy. Go to your channel. Let's see what we got here. Shit is kind of fuzzy. I don't know what's going on. Yeah, my shit kind of fuzzy. Go to your channel. Let's see what we got here. Mine is not supposed to look like this. Kind of fuzzy. I don't know what's going on. All right. Y'all should have told me earlier. Shut it down and then hop back on. Okay. Somebody said can't play in the rain. Give me 1 minute. Let me exit and come back in. Is that better? Is that better? Connection is unstable. Nigga said Teddy Riley-esque. Nigga said I'm looking Teddy Riley-ish. What the fuck? You got that, fam. You got that, fam. It was better for the first second and then it turned blurry. It went back to I'm fuzzy like Rihanna's Pumas. What the fuck? What's going on with this? Okay, let me do something because I had all right. Maybe it's the let me remove these Facebook things because that might have been lagging. Yeah, let me remove these Facebook things. That could have been it. Let me see. Remove. Delete it on Facebook. Get it out of here. Okay, so I did that. I fuck around and turn my camera off. You know what I mean? Y'all just get the audio. Nigga said the live is looking like Minecraft. Oh shit. I mean, I'm looking like I'm coming out of the 70s. My shit might as well be fuzzy. You get this shit in black and white. Fuck around. You'll get this broadcast in black and white. You know what I mean? You know what I'm talking about? With the afro and everything. We'll go straight to the 70s on these numbers. But let me see something. Okay, let me just put it on. I'm going to put it on hotspot. I'm going to take it off of the Wi-Fi. Let's complete the roll call. Okay. I know I froze up because I put the shit on, what is that called? Hotspot. That wasn't working. But knowledge will be dropped. Knowledge will be dropped. Blue pill will be here in a minute as well, and we're gonna get it in. We are going to get it in. Right. So let's continue this roll call. Let's continue the roll call. All right. Bed-Stuy's in the building. Michigan is in the building. They call it Michigan. Delaware is in the building. You feels me? Barbados is in the building. Mine is global. Talk black to me. Greensboro, North Carolina. I was wondering where y'all was at. Dallas, Fort Worth. Okay. Boston. Yeah. West Philly. Yeah. New Orleans. Yeah. St. Louis. Miami in the building. Vegas is in the building. Memphis, Tennessee is in the building. Queens is in this mother sucker. What is this? Watkinsville? Is that where Boyce is from? Watkinsville? Potbelly, Alabama. Me and Blue was on fire earlier. Yeah, we was getting in. Winston-Salem, Leimert Park, Long Island, Alabama, Los Angeles. That's right. That's right. Charlottesville, Naptown, Chi-Town, New Orleans, Rocky Mount, Wakanda, Buffalo, Rough Buff. You know what I'm saying? Rest in peace, Ill Will. What up, Dunn? Queensbridge is here. 124, Gaithersburg, Maryland. Yeah, East Cleveland in the building. Middle East. What's goody, Middle East? That's right. Statesville, PG County, the Dale of the River, 713. Beirut is up in his bitch. Brooks Bridge, Brooklyn. Did I say Beirut is up in here? Beirut, Louisiana, by the way. DC by way of Fredericksburg, Virginia. 510. Harlem. This is different. You niggas are from everywhere tonight. I mean, God damn it. We not in, you know what I like the fact that it's not cities that, you know, like towns that everybody is familiar with, like Boise, Idaho. Yeah, y'all from everywhere. I appreciate that. Iraq is up in this thing. Is it Iraq or Chirac? Atlanta, New York by way of the Cosmos. Talk black to me. Harlem Colonial Projects. Shout out to Harlem. Columbia, South Carolina, Fort Greene, Louisville, Gunpoint, Texas. Oh man, I don't want to visit there. I just had my life insurance together before I go visit Guns Point. Kenya. Shout out to my Kenya family. Y'all give Kenya a shout out. Lawrenceville, Georgia. Kenya's up in this thing. North Philly, New Orleans, Afghanistan, Flint Town, American Beach. That is beautiful out there. I was out there. Charlotte by way of Baltimore. College Park, Nashville. All right, so we get the drift because it's 400 of y'all. I will be drowning in shout outs. We'll be doing shout outs for an hour if I was to touch on everybody. But what we do know is that the family is in the building, and that's a great thing because there's things that we need to talk about tonight that you know needs to be discussed. So much is going on in the world that sometimes if we don't touch on certain topics, it gets glossed over. Tomorrow news pops up, it takes over the whole news cycle, and you forget about certain things that are taking place. And then when something else takes place that's tied into these events, we completely forget about it. You feel me? So we're gonna discuss some things that are going on. I want to wait for my bro Blue Pillar to drop in. He's scheduled to pop up at 11. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. So for right now, we'll do something. We'll go and visit my Instagram. Go and visit the Instagram. Right? All right. So on Monday's show, we touched on the Moors, the rise of the Moors, and the situation that took place with them on I-95 with the quote unquote state troopers and the SWATs. They arrested these young men and they charged them with unlawful possession of firearms, things of that nature. And we're going to do a follow-up on that story. The brothers went to court, I believe, on Tuesday. And in their court date, they were all basically remanded. They were already in custody, and the judge decided to keep them until tomorrow. And they're going to have something called a dangerousness hearing. By a show of hands, has anybody ever heard of the dangerousness hearings, right? Has anybody ever heard of the dangerousness hearings? A tsunami hit New York City today? Well, goddamn it. I'm glad I wasn't there. I ain't know about that. A dangerousness hearing is a hearing. And like I said, I've seen a whole bunch of what they call white supremacists or white race soldiers, or, you know, I don't like utilizing these colorable terms, but I'm saying it so you can understand what I'm saying. But we'd say the Caucasian, European, alien, and immigrants who have been over here terrorizing the natives, right? I've never heard of them having a dangerousness hearing for any of those people, like the Waffle House shooter, Dylan Roof, who killed a goddamn senator. You feel me? They didn't have a dangerousness hearing for those animals that stormed the Capitol, those insurgents. You never heard that shit come up. The only time you heard of a dangerousness hearing in this situation, right? So I don't know if this is native to Boston, but it was, you know, if it is, I would tell niggas don't go to Boston and start no trouble. Don't go to Boston and start no trouble, because they got some shit called a dangerousness hearing. You niggas will be deemed dangerous and they'll wind up holding on to you. Okay. So a rise in dangerousness hearings, which can hold a defendant 180 days before trial and could limit the presumption of innocence, right? This is how they get you. Stephen Van Dyke, a public offender with the Committee for Public Counsel Services, was sitting in an Essex County Correctional Facility watching tears fall from his client's eyes as they prep for an upcoming hearing. In his position as staff attorney for CPCS, the state's public defender agency, Van Dyke helped steer clients through the court system. That can include something called a dangerousness hearing, also known as a 58A petition. It allows prosecutors to request an order of pretrial detention for 180 days in felony cases. A judge hears testimonies and decides if evidence indicates a defendant is too dangerous to be released on bail or pretrial conditions. What the fuck? I watched him cry as he thought about his separation from his children, recalled Van Dyke. I've seen over the course of many years the human toll that these positions can take on people, their stability, loss of jobs, loss of time with their families, losses of relationships. Van Dyke acknowledged that dangerousness hearings play an important role in the courts, but he feels that the petitions can strip away a defendant's presumption of innocence and says he's seen clients lose hope when they're held pretrial under the statute. Meanwhile, district attorneys, local governors, and Governor Charlie Baker have called for more crimes to be included in the statute, especially targeting the omission accusations of aggravated rape of a child. The statute, Section 58A and Chapter 276 of the Massachusetts General Laws, allows prosecutors to request an order of pretrial detention or release on conditions for specific felony offenses that includes the use, attempted use, or threatened use of physical force. right? So being that the brothers are being held for weapons possessions, they are assumed to be dangerous. I've never heard, I guess even I've never heard of no shit like that. Bottom line. I don't know. Like I thought I paid attention to the law, but obviously I don't. I don't know if this is only a Massachusetts thing. Keep in mind that Massachusetts is a commonwealth. They be on their own shit. But that is some ridiculousness. Okay? That's real ridiculous. The request can only be made in certain types of serious cases, such as burglary, certain cases involving domestic abuse and protective orders, witness intimidation, drug offenses, OUI third or subsequent offense, and some others. So we already know what they plan on doing with the brothers. They plan on jamming the brothers up and holding on to them for 120 days and whatnot, unless, you know, the brothers are able to defend themselves in said court of law, right? But the way that it's looking, I don't know if these people are playing fair or not. I'm gonna go here real quick. And where's their story? Here's the story. Rise of the Moors militia group arraigned in Malden District Court after highway standoff. Members of the Rise of the Moors militia group appeared in court Tuesday during a chaotic arraignment session, punctuated by interruptions by defendants, outbursts on Zoom by supporters following the proceedings, and exasperation by the judge on the bench. I have not committed a crime, said Quinn Cumberlander, 40, the first of the men to be arraigned. In a refrain, many of the group repeated throughout the day as they denied the jurisdiction of the court. Cumberlander was among 10 adults and one 17-year-old charged after more than an 8-hour armed standoff on a stretch of I-95 in Wakefield early Saturday morning. A group of adult men, ages 21 to 40, and from Rhode Island, New York, and Michigan, are each charged with 8 counts of unlawful possession of a firearm, unlawful possession of ammunition, use of body armor in commission of a crime, possession of a high-capacity magazine, improper storage of firearms in a vehicle, and conspiracy to commit a crime. 3 of the men, plus the 17-year-old arrested in the case, are also charged with furnishing a false name to police. 2 men, only known as John Doe 1 and John Doe 2, have yet to be identified. The court proceedings happened in a stop-and-start fashion as the men, clad in camouflage, used fake names, waived their rights to lawyers, denied that the court of law had jurisdiction over them, and talked over Malden District Court Judge Emily A. Carsetter. You hear the propaganda, right? Many of the men requested that their leader, Jamal Tavon Sanders Latimer, 29, who goes by Jamal Talib Abdullah Bey, be their legal counsel, even though he is not a licensed attorney. Supporters of the group in the room and on Zoom interjected with cries of treason and what is the probable cause. Some insulted the judge, calling her explicitives. Several supporters in the room and on Zoom had to be escorted out or kicked off of the video conference for repeated disruptions. In Cumberlander's case, he declared himself to be a foreign national and repeatedly objected to the charges brought against him. The exchange between Cumberlander and Judge Carsetter to determine whether he wanted a court-appointed lawyer or whether he wanted to be his own counsel dragged as he declined to answer her questions about whether he understood the significance of waiving his right to a lawyer. Hold on a minute. We didn't want to cause fear. I object to being held without bail. I am not a threat to society or anybody. Another defendant, who has refused to identify himself to authorities, told the judge he was a free Moor. The judge ruled he had waived right to counsel, then ordered him out of the courtroom to watch proceedings on Zoom because he kept interrupting her. The group's leader, Latimer, told the judge the defendants held onto their weapons because they wanted to protect themselves from the police surrounding them, who also bore firearms. He told her repeatedly that he is not harmed anyone before anymore. He is not armed anymore because the police seized his weapons, and that he handled himself peacefully throughout the hours-long standoff Saturday. The court recessed until Wednesday, with two men, John Doe 2 and Alban El Caro, still due for arraignment. John Doe 1 was ordered held with pending fingerprinting and positive identification. Not guilty pleas were entered on behalf of the other seven defendants. Each was held without bail, pending a dangerous hearing Friday. The 17-year-old will be arraigned on a later date, right? So, as you can see, these people are definitely up to their own tricks, their old tricks and whatnot. Um, you know, and if you could, when you read the language that's being used, you know, it's basically painting these brothers as you know, hard to deal with, subversive, you know, and things of that nature. So I want to give a shout out to the brothers and their family and their supporters and all of the Moors that have been out here fighting against the court system. Whenever you get jammed up, you know, for the untrained eye, when I'm reading that story, they'd be like, why are they giving them such a hard, why are the defendants giving the court such a hard time? And why don't they just be quiet and let this attorney speak for them? And that's not the way that certain people handle themselves who have an understanding of the proceedings of the courts and things of that nature. You know what I mean? For the untrained eye and for people who are uneducated to how to stand on your square, the story that I just read may look crazy to you, but believe you me, these brothers know what they're doing. And to be honest with you, in situations such as this, it's what has to be done. You know what I mean? I feel that they were unlawfully arrested in the first place, and whatever they have to do to stand on their square and fight this case and get out of it, it's what they have to do. But I don't want to carry on too long because our guest is in the building. You feel me? So without any further ado, I would love to bring on my special guest for the night, my brother, you know, your brother, our brother, Blue Pillar.
Yeah,
What's good with you, bro?
that was a very colorful conversation. I almost don't even want to be part of the algorithm, so I'm gonna make it real brief and get in and get out.
Yeah, do
You know
that.
what I'm saying? Yeah, I you know I saw something totally different. I heard something totally different than you said. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not gonna get into it. I would just say, you know, stay out of it. That's the best thing to do at this point.
Indeed,
You know
indeed.
what I mean?
Well, you know, that's
Yeah,
part of my lecture.
yeah. I
So
know that's real hard for you to do.
say it again.
But I said I know that's real hard for you to do.
Right.
I'll just say it like this: like Mike Tyson said, everybody got a plan till they get punched in the mouth. You know what I'm saying?
That's true.
And until you are in that ring, and you know the rules of engagement in that ring, you don't even know what you're looking at. You know what I'm saying? Because I could tell by how your commentary. Like I said, this is to confuse a lot of people. And this is is part of a larger campaign of culling and lulling. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Don't fall for the call or the law, and you have to be very careful with your commentary. That's all I'm gonna say.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
I
I definitely
You
agree.
already cast the die. It's not saying for sure. I'm trying to tell you, this is a colorful conversation at this point. So from this point on, just be very careful with what you say
Right, right,
because you're falling for the trap. You
right,
know what I'm saying? I'm trying to tell you. I'm trying to
right.
tell you, bro. You don't know what you're
Indeed.
looking at, and neither do they. And it's not going to end up in nobody's favor at the end. At the end of this,
Yeah.
the way that this is being laid and played out, nah, bro. I try to tell you, it's a 20-year anniversary for a reason. You know what I mean? And for somebody such as myself that was there, I was there September 10th. I was there afterwards. I know what I was looking at. I know what I was up against. I was in the throes of it. You weren't. You were observing. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I'm trying to tell you, bro. That ain't how it's done. That ain't it right there. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right.
Jurisdiction
I'm.
has been established, my G.
Yeah,
Like the boat,
jurisdiction definitely
yeah.
has been
The
established, and
the
I've
the
heard the
boat
critiques.
the boat is out to sail. You feel me?
Right.
Yeah, nigga, don't moor that ship. Okay?
Right. Right. Right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I hear you. You know, I would take your I'll take what you said as advice. You know, I will be covering that story in my lecture. You know, that is what that has something to do with the lecture that I'll be doing, Fear of a Blackamoor Messiah. You know, I will be pointing out, and I will follow the case as well and give the family an update as to what's taking place with the case, you know, for those that don't know.
Yeah. Like I said, this is one. There will be a case study for the ages, but
Exactly.
you have to be an adept at Morris jurisprudence. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like the conversation that's taking place in the sports realm, right? With the European lady and the melanated lady, you know, up for
Rachel. Yeah, the
yeah,
Rachel and Maria
up
thing.
for whatever that gig is, right? One of them
Right.
played the sport and one of them didn't. You feel me?
Say it again.
One of them played the sport and one of them didn't.
Okay. What does
And
that mean?
cause the whole conversation, even the one that has been started by Kwame, is like, how can people be expert commentators on situations that they've never been themselves engaged in? Right?
Right.
You can have more credentials, but how can you have more experience than somebody who's played the game? Right?
Okay. And you're framing that to say that me talking about the Moorish case,
No,
because
no,
I
I'm saying from this point on, this is a case study in jurisprudence in particular, but you have to be an expert at Moorish jurisprudence in order to properly call the play-by-play, blow-by-blow commentary of what it is that you're looking at, right?
right. So why don't you talk about it if you see the play by play? Like, what's the problem? I don't understand. And what's the secrecy about? What's so
Oh
scary
no, no, no,
about it?
because conversations like this, it's
Right.
like it what you say can be held against you. You know what I'm saying? And what you say or what you don't say can be held against someone else in a way that this particular case is being mitigated or observed. That's all I'm saying.
So you're saying that what I'm saying about a case that's in Massachusetts, that has to do with the brothers from the Rise of the Moors, what I'm saying on my YouTube channel has something is going to affect the case, bro. If I'm out here and like I'm saying, if there's Moors that are out here and people that are out here that are watching the demonstration, what is it that they need to know? What is it that they should learn? And what aspect about what you may know that you want to
The way
share with
that you
them that's going
establish
down in the case?
the way that you the way that you do not establish or do not allow, right, your opponent to establish jurisdiction is by answering their questions and giving them jurisdiction. That's rule number one.
Right.
You answer a question with a question. And there's not a judge in the proceeding, it's a magistrate. So even the language is off. Like I said, it's a colorable conversation just based on the language that's being used. And they will put in language that you don't reinterpret, and then you are also making the conversation colorable by carrying, you know, the injury to the rest of the people by using that language even. That's all I'm saying. Look, it's bro,
Mhm.
it's a dragnet. Don't walk into it, right?
Right.
Without the proper protection at this time. Because all of this is submissible. That's all I'm saying. Just leave
Right.
it at
Right.
that. Okay? It's a dragnet, my nigga. You understand?
Right. What's a dragnet?
A dragnet is when they set a trap.
Okay.
You feel me? And you walk right into it. That's what a dragnet is,
Okay.
right? In a culmination of a 20-year campaign, a crusade,
Right.
right? That has the pinnacle point in the foundation of the bedding, the soil for it was laid in January. You dig what I'm saying?
Right.
They had whole armed insurrections. You know what I'm saying? In their place of legislation, and there wasn't proceedings of this particular nature for those individuals.
I already said that.
Right?
I already said that before you came up here.
No, granted.
Okay.
Good. Let me put it on record. So the way that you go ahead with this, you have to understand it in the context of which is framed. There has to be proper juxtapositions put in place, such as you have to juxtapose this to the Miami 7. Why? Because the 20-year anniversary is eliciting case study and history.
Bro, I just started the conversation. Hold on.
I know. Just let me finish. I'm saying it's a continuum of a conversation, right? That is best qualified to be handled with proper Moorish jurisprudence, right? Let's observe the situation and come at it with a proper dialogue at a later time. How about that?
That's understandable.
All right.
However, like I said, if I'm just starting out to talk about something, like I just started the conversation about, and I'm following up because I spoke about it last episode, right? Which was on Monday. So I'm following up with the court proceedings, which took place on Tuesday, to give the family an update about these brothers' situation, regardless of jurisprudence. I'm letting them know, and I'm reading the article, and I'm letting them know what took place in that courtroom in Massachusetts as we move forward. Will I go back and talk about it? Of course I will, because like I said, that has something to do with the presentation that I'll be doing on the 29th. So I'm going to follow up and I'm going to tie in other things. So your presumption about not being able to tie what's going on right now with the Moors, what took place on January 6th, or even what took place with the, in fact, the brother Ozone with the police shooting and how they're framing that, you know, that could be an error on your behalf. You know what I'm talking about? That could be an error on your behalf. So I wouldn't jump out the window like that. I would just, I would ask questions first.
It's not even that. That's window dressing. I'm addressing what I heard directly, my nigga. You know what I'm saying? I'm not making no presumptions. I'm telling you what I heard.
Right.
Let's leave it like that. This is not the venue or the place to have this conversation at this time. Just fall back. That's what I'm saying.
Right.
Because it's a colorful conversation at this point. You put in your opinion and your judgment. You're not reporting straight up. You're talking about people that's doing a good job and stuff. I'm like, just chill. That's
All right. All right. So what you want to talk about? What do you want to talk about?
I mean, there's a lot of things going on in the news right now. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of things that everything, there's a bunch of topics that are swirling, but there's always
could they be talked about? Let me know what we can't talk about. Let me know what's a hot potato that you don't want to touch.
Nah, it's not so much this things as hot potatoes that we want to touch. I'm just saying navigate, right? The whole aspect of mooring is knowing how to navigate. That's all I'm saying.
I understand. So what are the topics that can't be touched that you don't want to?
There are no topics that can't be touched.
Okay. Well, one of the topics that are, one of the hot button topics that's really on a lot of people's minds is the assassination of the Haitian president. I kind of wanted to build up to that, but I figured we might as well just jump right in on it. You know what I mean? There's a lot of questions. I don't recall, and I'm if you remember, just please enlighten me. I know that in Grenada for that matter, in the mid 80s, there was an assassination of a head of the state, but I don't recall seeing a head of a state assassinated in a very long time. Do you? Can you recall? There's been some coups. There's been some coup d'etats and whatnot, and they've been, there's been some presidents that basically got military. Malaysia, they took the president off of the throne. It was a military coup
recently.
In Africa, I believe it was my guy. What's my guy name?
Mugabe.
They was a coup out. There was a coup on Mugabe and whatnot.
What we saw in Libya was a public assassination.
There you go.
What we saw with Saddam Hussein was a public assassination. That was a deposing of a despot, right? They
Right.
deposed a despot. International foreign invasion took place, right?
Right.
And they they strung a leader up and hung him, whether it was at their hands directly
Right.
or whether they prompted the people to do it. You feel me? There was an
Well,
incitement. There was an incitement that took place.
yeah, those were
Um,
paid mercenaries out of Benghazi.
yeah,
They
that
were
part.
given the weapons, and they would remember they were given support by America. They were firing off the missiles, and then the Benghazi troops were going in.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So,
So yeah, keeps their hand clean, right?
right,
I'm right in the backyard. I'm directing. I'm coaching. I'm pointing plays
like a
out.
general does.
Yeah, but I'm not the one that has that had to do the kill shot. So yeah, yeah, we haven't seen a straight up assassination, and then in the age of video, you like got to hear it. You know what I'm saying? The
Right,
shit was like first play up. You
right, right,
know,
right,
so yeah, this is unprecedented, but it still feels like as long as I've been alive, I've just known them to do this to Haitian, heads of state, especially the ones that don't go along with the get along go along program.
right,
So
right. Because remember when it came to Aristide,
yeah,
there was they violated him twice. The first time he got flued out of his own country. They exiled him, and then they put him back on his
yeah,
throne.
they reinstalled them.
They reinstalled him, and then they had an attempted coup d'état where they basically they remember they parachuted and it was a failed attempt. I remember what they did in Venezuela. You know, they also they tried that with Maduro, and prior to that, they tried it with Chavez. You know, so for the family that's not familiar with the politics that were taking place on the ground in Haiti prior to the assassination, do you want to kind of fill them in? Because there was a lot of public outcry about said administration, about the same administration that that this president was a part of, and they said that he was holding on to power after his 4-year rule. He was actually in his 5th year,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So yeah, he he was going along and getting along too long, right?
Right,
And there's a lot of geopolitical plays that are being made, especially in that region. So even if you're somebody that the people put into position, right, the propagandists of this Western world still have their ideas about how they're going to run politics in that region of the planet. That's one of the major dope ports,
right,
right? They run coke and guns through there. They have to destabilize that region by any and all means.
right,
You feel me? So they like, you got to go, and you're gonna go one way or the other. So what? Again, they will empower your people, right? They will put your people in position to be the ones that rise up against you, right?
right, right.
And they do it all under the disguise of democracy. They tried to do it in Hong Kong, and they got hit with the COVID. You know what I'm saying?
That's a
They
fact.
they they do it over in all that. They try to do it in
Venezuela,
Venezuela. They try to do it in Cuba, right? They try to do it in all
Cuba,
of these places. This is how they
right,
do their thing. So they've always done it in Haiti, right? They
all
do
the
it, and
yeah,
especially during democratic administrations. You got
right,
to understand that those people have long play plans for that place, and it's stacked. It's levels, labor goals, spiritual goals. You know what I'm saying? They have all sorts of different things that they're qualifying when they go in there and destabilize that particular region. Spirit cooking on another level. So you seen Joe Biden, in his commentary pertaining to that, you know,
he was sounding real nervous.
real nervous, real like, I ain't get the memo. I don't know what's going on. Right. So you got to imagine if you have an administration such as this right now, you
Right.
have to understand that the country's being run by the military, right? Because this is what the president's acting very unpresidential, right?
President
There's
is
no
acting very
legislation being.
unpresidential.
The only thing people is talking about is the transgender shit from the first day in office. There's no other legislation being passed. I think they said Trump was up to like 60 executive orders by this time.
At this point, remember, yeah.
You feel me? So there's nobody running the ship. There's nobody mooring the ship, right? The ship is a ghost ship. It's out to sea. You
Right.
know, it's like the COVID ships from last season.
Right, right.
It's just it ain't going nowhere,
It ain't going nowhere.
right? Kamala been to the border one time. She's the vice president.
Look, and she speaks French because she was in Canada, you know, years ago. So she could go to Haiti right now and talk that talk. You know what I'm talking about? I'm sure she's familiar with the region.
Yeah, so you know, I mean, it always comes down to finances, right? Campaign instability. I even remember like when we had just left St. Croix, we had left Puerto Rico in December, and right after we left, I had seen this article about how they allocated a few billion for their restructuring and rebuilding, right? So there's always money coming into the region, even though Haiti's not part of the quote unquote United States.
Right.
There's still relief money coming in. They still rebuilding from 2010. They still rebuilding from the hurricane.
From the
You
hurricane
know what I mean?
facts.
Yeah, all of that money, you know what I mean? It gets misappropriated. I mean, it's just so much scandal and corruption. Um, and then you got, and then you got the presidencies that always impose some level of tinkering towards military. They either getting ran down by military, or they're starting to integrate military into, their particular regime so they can capture more power.
Right.
So dude was trying to do what Bloomberg did. Dude was trying to do what they said de Blasio couldn't do. Dude was trying to do what Trump is trying to do, right? Look, dude's trying to do what Vladimir Putin did, right?
You trying to stretch his stay.
Dude in
You trying to
the
do extended stay
Philippines,
at the hotel.
yeah, he's trying to do extended stay, right? They tell you
Right.
got to leave by 1, you trying to stay till 3. Take the phone off the hook, shit like that. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, and then, there was a question about the vaccines and AstraZeneca or the shots, right? Let me not get this
Right.
flag. Let me not use colorable language.
Yeah, please, no
So,
colorable
yeah.
language tonight.
Yeah. Right?
So there was according
yeah.
to reports, right?
Mm-hmm.
And nah, I was gonna show it in the lecture, but I'll just hold on to it. But according to reports, Haiti did not administer one shot as of today. Is that correct?
Well, I didn't hear that one yet. That's news to me. You feel me? That's news to me.
Yeah, they
But
were.
my thing is like, that should have been the first question or the first inquiry that melanated people in the Western region made when they said that it was a quote unquote black thing, and we were getting it in disproportionate numbers. It's like, what's the numbers in Haiti then? What's the numbers in Jamaica? You know what I'm saying? Like, what about our family there? Like, how are they receiving it? How they being impacted by it? Remember, they will want to always castigate Haitians in particular with being the prime candidates of a disease. Haitian body odor and the way that they maligned them with AIDS.
With AIDS, they aligned. Yeah,
You feel
they
me?
did.
So it was like, but Haitians ain't getting COVID.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Now the interesting thing was the person who was in line for secession to be, in case something happened to the president, he died of COVID a week ago, I believe. Right?
Yeah. It was not the person in secession. I believe it was a Supreme Judge. But yeah, okay. So the Supreme Judge,
high-ranking official.
Yeah, the high-ranking official, right?
A high-ranking official who they were saying, because there's this whole mix-up about who's going to take the reins and whatnot, because on July 5th he appointed the day before he appointed a new prime minister, correct?
Right. Other than the person who was in line to receive it. And it was not, the judge was not the person, I don't think, that was in line to receive it. The judge was responsible, I think, to make a decision
to make the decisions. Right.
Status.
That's what it was.
Right?
That's my bad. Yeah, that's what it was.
There was another individual that was supposed to receive the reins. He got bumped out of the way. He installed a new recipient, and the next day out of there.
Clippington.
You right? See how politics work? You feel me?
Do you see how politics work?
Yeah, it's macro, micro. You know, there's things that are happening in this community, you know what I'm saying, where people really don't understand the company that they keep. And like, these things are happening, you know, on a smaller scale that are playing out in larger politics.
Right.
Your man be part of the go along, get along gang, you know? Again, yeah. You know, and then that's how the CIA brings the operatives. I was looking at the documentary the other day. You know what I'm saying? Summer of Soul. They had Jesse Jackson up there. You feel me?
When he was lit?
Bro, 69 was a year after King got assassinated. King got assassinated April 4th, 1968. So he was on stage telling them the story about how he got clipped, utilizing it as an introduction to introduce the
what band?
Not Mahalia Jackson, the saxophone player. Nah,
oh hell no.
It was a dude, Ben something, who played the sax, but he had Mahalia Jackson on the backup. They was bodying it as a duet. You know what I'm saying? Let's be clear. This was trauma bonding lit. Like, you know what I mean? She went into her shit. It was next level. You know, she personified that pain. It was
right.
Yeah. She make your soul cry. So, yeah, but just I'm saying that to say that's how they always set it up. You know what I mean? They're gonna get to your right hand. You know what I'm saying?
Right. So back to the story about the assassination, just for the record, for because the family sometimes is not fully aware about the things that are going on, because stories like this are not necessarily highlighted in our communities, even though they have ramifications on a global level, especially in this region. So the assassins were dressed up as DEA agents. Now, this is what struck me as what the fuck. They gave me a what the fuck moment. The DEA was able to make his security guard stand down. Right? There's a video out where you see the assailants, you see the assassins and whatnot. One of his neighbors caught it on the camera phone. So they basically pulling up in these Jeeps and whatnot. And then the DEA, they have a loudspeaker and they say, the DEA operation, put your weapons down. So these are they're guarding this man's private estate. He's the president. It's not like he's a candidate for, because they knock off candidates for the president, shit like that in these countries. This is the actual president who has security similar to what the Secret Service is. You're supposed to fall on your sword and make sure nothing ever happens to you. You'll never put your guns down. That's why there's talk inside of Haiti and outside of Haiti of this being an inside job, because they basically rolled up, told these people put their guns down, walked into the residence and bodied him. Right? Now, I'm going to read where he got shot. And I don't want to do it for, I'm not trying to be a shock jock or anything, but I want you to understand how these hits take place and, how heartless these people are that carry out these hits. Okay. So the assassination occurred on July 7th, right? At 1 a.m. in the president's home in Port-au-Prince. It was carried out by unidentified armed men. The first lady, Martine Moise, was also injured in the attack. She's in critical condition in Miami right now. Claude Joseph, the country's prime minister, alleges that all measures have been taken to guarantee the continuity of the state.
Continuity, right.
The continuity of the state. He has now taken control of the country and has urged the public to remain calm. Prime Minister Claude Joseph said highly trained assassins, some speaking a mix of Spanish and English with a U.S. accent, assassinated the president at his home. The assassin yelled, DEA operation, everybody stand down. DEA operation, everybody back up, stand down. Residents reported hearing high-powered rounds being fired and seeing black-clad men running through the neighborhoods. They also reported exploding grenade and drones buzzing overhead. Prime Minister Claude Joseph said police and the armed forces were controlling security. A resident who lives near the presidential residence compared the sound of the shooting to an earthquake. Right? Real quick. He was found dead, laying on his back, blue pants and a white shirt stained with blood, his mouth open, his left eye gouged out. He was shot to the forehead, in each nipple, at the hip, and in the abdomen by large caliber weapons. And they killed him in his bedroom, and his daughter was able to hide in one of the rooms, and she was not harmed and whatnot. Right? So that is interesting. You know, yeah, they hit him with some heavy metal. Yeah, definitely. That is interesting. Now, we know that Haiti sits on top of gold. We know that Haiti sits on top of oil, right? People are very familiar with that. But there's other precious metals that we're not familiar with that Haiti is sitting on. Okay. They have high quality deposits of gold and copper, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they also have other precious metals, right? They also have other natural resources that are sought after by the rest of the world. They have limestone, they have clay, limestone, gravel. They also have the access to hydropower, mangrove forages, forests and whatnot, valuable wood resources. I mean, all of these things that the Caribbean's poorest country is in possession of. And one of the biggest resources is iridium. 1 ton of iridium is selling for $45 billion. Just to give you an example of what they're dealing with. Going back to what I'm saying before, Haiti being one of the poorest, right? With looking at the Dominican Republic right there, they're not even going through. They're not going out bad like Haiti. Haiti, one of the poorest countries in the whole region, is sitting on top of nothing but trillions of dollars worth of mineral wealth. How the hell is that? And now we know, we have an understanding of why it is, because of the regimes that have been put in place over the decades and whatnot. I would dare to say over the centuries. Okay, ever since the 1800s, ever since the mulatto-led government was defeated, and when America came in there kicking shit around and whatnot, it's been destabilized ever since then. And then let's not even talking about the reparations that they paid to France. Haiti is gold. Haiti is precious. Haiti is rich. One of the richest colonies before they even started digging for the natural resources. One of the richest colonies in the region. That was France's cherry on the, like, Napoleon did not want to let that go. He did not want to let that go. The commands from the top was, you could not lose Haiti by any means necessary. They was giving up other shit just so they could hold on to Haiti. That's how important it is.
Yeah, Haiti is key. You know,
Haiti is key, y'all.
Haiti is key. Again, we don't properly explain it the right way. Two interesting things that we can juxtapose and look at without getting colorable. July the 3rd, was the day of Sirius rising. It was the first day of the dog days of summer.
Right.
Sirius deals with independence. It was the eve of New Year's of the new year of this country, the last day of the 244th birthday of this country, of 244 years this country's been in existence. The number 244 stands for rebellion. You know, the rise of the Moor coinciding with Sirius rising, you know what I'm saying, on July 3rd. Both of these components, yeah, and the solar flare went off that day as well, right? So that
Big solar flare, right?
yeah, the biggest in 4 years, right? Solar flare X1. So all of these things took place. We just got off the live TV show around that time, 2 a.m. All of this happened between 2 and 4 a.m. So these two countries, you know, Morocco and Haiti, the role that they play in American independence can't be overlooked or overshadowed, right? Because without Haiti and the Louisiana Purchase, there would be no USA, right?
Right.
Without Haiti laying the template of independence in this region, there would be no impetus for independence in this region, right? Haiti plays a key
Right.
role, right? Again, it being the first place of contact, Hispaniola, you know what I mean, for the forces that came over here, you know what I'm saying?
Christopher Columbus and the
Yes,
conquistadors.
the origin point of what it represents, what that vortex must look like in spirit realm, right?
Right.
And then again, then you have Morocco, the first country to recognize the sovereignty, if you will, of this country and give it its inauguration, if you will, right? And
Right.
got them lit. There would be no Independence Day, right, without that particular thing being qualified.
Right.
You feel
First of
me?
all, shout out to Chicago Crypto in the building.
Absolutely.
Yes,
Shout out
indeed.
to
We
y'all.
had touched on your city being founded by a Haitian earlier. And what?
Yes.
No, did we touch on that earlier? No, I don't.
On
Did we
the
touch on that
live.
on IG?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna get into that. We're gonna touch on that as well. You feel me?
Right. So, you know, again, the again, and I would dare say, even with Dr. Ben added to the commentary when he spoke about Haiti, and he said that the quote unquote Africans from Spain who were prisoners of war after Grenada, after 1492, they sent those Africans over to Haiti first. Right now, who was originally there in Haiti? Somebody else that's more qualified with their history can give us that bit of history, or when the conquisted, or when you know the invading forces, did they eradicate the people who were original inhabitants of Haiti, and did they start restocking them with Africans initially out of Spain, West Africans they would be, and then they brought other Africans over, right?
Right.
And that's why they considered them quote unquote magical Negroes, because these were Moors in that particular region who still had their hands and their foot on traditions. Um, you know, what becomes out of that, you know, how you stack history on top of it to come to what we are witnessing today. There's a lot of history in that region, right? A whole lot. And not, you know, we can't qualify, put it into a 5 minute soundbite. You feel me? Like even when you look at the influence on New Orleans and Congo Square, right? That whole Afro-Cuban influence, right?
Right.
With the Afro with the that 2/2 beat that initially becomes, you know, later on it turns into scat, turns into jazz, jazz turns into bebop, bebop turns into hip hop. You know, there's just so much history. You feel me?
Right. So much. You
So
know, the people of Haiti, not only the resources that are in the ground and whatnot, you know, not the fact that it's a mineral rich region. You know, when you have mineral rich regions, the people are also rich,
right,
you know, because the people are the resources. They're
yeah,
composed of the resources.
the
So
land is
places where you
speak.
find gold in the ground and whatnot, and all of these natural copper and all of these conductors and whatnot, it's of no coincidence that you have great people that also come from areas such as that. And the Haitians are no exception. Okay. Uh enormous contributions throughout time. powerful warrior class, recognized globally for their fighting, for their fighting spirits.
Yeah,
Um,
their resilience.
their resilience.
No, these are some strong people. And anybody who knows some good Haitian brothers and sisters can attest. You feel me? They are some
Facts.
strong people. That's a mystical island.
Yeah,
You feel me?
Dutty. You know what I
Dutty.
mean? Bookman
Yeah.
was from Haiti. Wait, no, Bookman was from Jamaica, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he came into Haiti and they set it off.
They got
And
busy.
there's been in the Americas, right? Like you were alluding to on the Instagram live when they had the war over here. What was Haiti's role?
They said in South Carolina that the Haitians fought alongside some Union soldiers and helped secure some key victories.
Right.
They were deployed a few places from what I understand.
They were.
They just got busy. These was resilient, resourceful, what I'm saying, melanated Africans that, like I said, according to Dr. Ben, had Moorish roots. It's
Right.
worth looking into. You know what I mean? This particular engagement that has taken place in this hemisphere, it cannot be dismissive of that piece of history that people are now running from because of the media campaigns and the propaganda.
Facts. And for my history buffs and for people who want to add this to their research, the city of Chicago was founded by a Haitian. Okay, the city of Chicago was founded by a Haitian, as well as the city of Detroit, if I'm correct. Okay, and then when we see those things, think Canada, right? Look at how Canada's in the proximity and whatnot, and they also have a very large French population and things of that nature.
Right.
Back in those days, there was they were very big on being trappers and traders. They were trapping animal felts, animal furs, animal pelts. I mean, like animal furs, and they were trading it with other traders. The Europeans were giving they signed treaties. The Europeans signed treaties with the Aboriginal tribes over here, and they were giving access to basically hunt and to trap, right? Not the whole state. They were giving areas that they were allowed to trap and to hunt.
Yeah, use the analogy that you used earlier. I like how you explained that.
Between the trappers of today?
No, not that part. Like, he was like, somebody get a license to hunt and they'll go to the Serengeti and you can play the plains of the Serengeti. Don't mean that you rule,
right,
control, live,
because
domicile there.
yes, right.
You're licensed or allowed to come into this particular ecosystem.
To eat.
Right.
So the movie Reverence with Leonardo DiCaprio was one of the most recent depictions of what was going on in those regions for brothers and sisters of American descent, and also my brothers and sisters that are watching us overseas and across the pond. Sometimes because of Hollywood's erroneous lies that they've told about the narrative, the slave narrative, we're under the impression that the minute Europeans touched the Americas, because of their white skin, everybody fell to their knees and whatnot, and everybody just magically threw chains on themselves, like, let me just rope myself off. You know what I mean? Like, everybody was imprisoned when two ships showed up. They were able to imprison 13 colonies, and that's definitely not how it went, right? The Europeans were moving around doing what they do. I use the analogy, and I hope people could understand the analogy that I'm sharing. When we think of when we like state prisons, right? State prisons in New York City, the state prisons are part of New York State. They're on the outskirts of the city. They're far out in the mountains and whatnot. And they have our brothers locked down as 13th Amendment citizens, and they're identified as legal slaves. So when they had these plantations, which were usually close to the shoreline and whatnot, some of those were protected by garrisons and forts and whatnot. But when a European had a plantation, it did not mean that he owned the quote unquote state in which the plantation was in. They did not have that kind of power. You have to always remember there were tribes that were here and they were not having it. You know what I'm talking about? They wasn't having all of that BS. They wasn't letting these people come in there and just conquer and whatnot. So eventually what began to happen is the European, because they are of European descent, and a lot of things were built off of trading, right? Trading routes and trading. So they were able to have treaties with certain tribes, but there were other tribes that were like, you don't have a treaty with us. If we see you in our region, we're scalping your head. We're taking heads, right? So the Europeans were able to function in a certain in a certain jurisdiction and whatnot, based off of the treaties that they would eventually be able to sign with said tribes. So it's the same way on the continent of Africa, that the tribes, the kingdoms and whatnot, they're over there, have signed treaties with Europeans to allow them to come and to hunt game on their land, right? You're allowed to, this is the game reserve, boom. Now you could hunt there. We're gonna give you a license and whatnot. And sometimes they sneak over. You niggas saw Madagascar, the cartoon. Sometimes they go past the line. You feel me? And they try to grab the dancing tiger. You know what I'm saying? So they don't respect the borders. Henceforth, while you have poachers and things of that nature, they don't respect the boundaries, and they go ahead and they wipe shit out. So the trappers, the European trappers, were trapping, right? You got niggas in the hood calling themselves trappers now. The original trappers were the Europeans that were trapping animal pelts and whatnot. So they were trapping foxes, they were trapping bears, they were trapping chinchillas, they were trapping beavers and whatnot. Why? Because over in Europe, where they were experiencing the season that they were experiencing in the Americas for a few months, they were experiencing that in Europe the whole damn time. So of course, because we're dealing with trading and whatnot, and we didn't have Walmart, we didn't have IKEA, we didn't have Amazon, you niggas, they didn't have Jack Ma and Alibaba and whatnot back then. So the Amazons and the Alibabas were ships, right? They had Walmart on the water, and when that Walmart will pull up, the quote unquote sailors or the pirates and whatnot would hop off, and they will let the people know what it is that they have on the ship. Okay, sometimes it was human beings, sometimes it was silver. They rocked the Africans on the coast of Africa to sleep with glass beads and cotton balls.
Facts.
That's how they rocked them. They rocked them to sleep with glass beads and cotton balls.
With rum, yeah, rum
and with rum. Beads. And the Africans was like, shit, what y'all want? They was like, give me shorty over there and some gold. I'll take that. And they was like, here, you could take more. You feel me? When they came over to the Americas and whatnot, and the Indians were cutting themselves because they were touching the tips of the swords and slicing themselves open. They didn't they was running their fingers down a sword, not realizing what a sword does, because they were operating with lesser quote unquote artillery, or they were operating with lesser, their quality of weaponry was not as advanced as the Spaniards, who were fighting the Moors for 700 years. So when you have somebody who's in a 700-year war, they're what is called war hardened, and war evolves things. War is good for evolution. I remember Baba Nu dropped that, and that shit stuck with me. War evolves things. In World War II, the world evolved. Planes evolved. Weaponry evolved. The industrial age kicked off. Yeah, that shit evolved. Cars
pushes you forward. Pushes you forward.
It pushes humanity forward. So the Europeans were like, when they came over, even to the Americas, I've read the journals. The journals were like, they were giving up their daughters, the tribesmen, because they didn't see promiscuity, they didn't see sensuality the same way that these fake ass religious, Europeans may have approached it and whatnot, who are basically underneath the Catholic Church's edicts, to whereas they couldn't even pop off.
Mm-hmm.
So that they were like, yo, these people are too promiscuous, they too loose. These are heathens. Burn them. We got us. They was Harry. Let me write the queen. Look at what. Oh my goodness. They out here twerking. They said vax that thing up. I don't even know what they were talking about. They was like, vax that thing up.
Yeah.
I got off the boat. I heard Cash Money for the 9-9, and these Indians start twerking. Right? So they were offended by what they saw. They were like, the women's breasts were out. But what they did see was the fact that they had gold around their necks, right? Like the gold, the neck braces, gold around their arms. They had the arm cuffs, gold around their wrists, and they were wearing it like it's nothing. They were like, look, it's in the water. There's nuggets in the water. This is part of the land. So the European immediately switched into the mind state of the have not and was like, okay, I see what we finna do. We finna take all of this shit. And if they want our cotton balls or whatever we bringing from Europe to trade them, we'll just trade it off. But then after a while, they didn't have anything to offer and they just started taking shit. So that's where we get the story of the trappers and the traders. So you trap the fur and then you trade it. So when you see Trader Joe's and they was like Trader John, Trader Joe's, Trader Bob and whatnot. They were trading food, resources, and human beings, because man and woman is similar to how they have the drug trade. At one point, it was similar to how niggas move birds, because that's how much you were selling human beings for, and you had to smuggle them because it was illegal. So the first human trafficking that we could see in the Americas, there was a large-scale operation that you see human trafficking on the Mexico border. You see human trafficking taking place in the quote-unquote from Libya going into the Iberian Peninsula. You see human trafficking taking place in Haiti right now. You see human trafficking taking place in damn near every single place where the Roman Catholic Church is. You wonder why. It started, and it's called sex trafficking and human trafficking. They were buying young girls and they were trading them and they were selling them, and then they were impregnating them and they were selling their babies like how you niggas breed pit bulls. That's what they were doing, and that was the beginning. And they were insured by Aetna, Hartford Life. They were insured by all of these insurance companies. Okay. So even if something happened to your quote unquote slave, they would still get in the bag for you. It didn't matter. This is how they perfected the insurance game. That's a fact. This is not me. This is facts over emotions. So when you hear traders and when you hear trappers, always remember that is the original titles. And then later on, they became planters. So you have the peanuts called planters. Planters were basically you become a trapper. You're selling the animal furs. That shit wears off. You start trading human beings. But when the person who bought the human being, that person is a planter. I'm planting copper. I'm planting tobacco. I'm planting sugar. I'm planting cotton. And those are the planters. And the planters are called erroneously plantation masters. I don't know. I don't identify with no master. I don't know nothing about a master. Those are planters. And those are traders. And those are quote unquote trappers. I don't know nothing about a master because we didn't have no masters. Those are not masters. There's no such thing as a Dutch master. Yeah. Hemp, cotton, tobacco, and sugar cane. Them shits was going off.
This is a fact.
They was going off. And then when you go into Peru and whatnot, you have silver, the lima bean, the potato, which helped with the Irish famine and whatnot. That shit came from South America. You feel me?
This is a fact.
So yeah, that's why they have plantations. Thank you, large professor. You a legend. plantations for planters, right? Stop calling them masters. They're not that. You are giving them too much power in your words. They are not that. Okay? They're not that. Go ahead, Blue.
Nah, go ahead.
So, these regions that we could go on all day about why these regions are destabilized. There's so much that we could talk about to why the regions are where they are, because the situation is taking place in Haiti. This didn't come out of anywhere. This shit didn't just pop out. This is a destabilized region, like Blue said. It is their policy to keep these regions destabilized. It is their policy to keep Jamaica poor. It is their policy to keep Jamaica with the violence. They took Duddas, huh?
Go ahead.
They took Duddas out of what was that? Tivoli Gardens. One of the biggest drug dealers. Obama was responsible for that operation. And the minute they removed Duddas, the violence and everything exploded in Jamaica. It was already violent, but now you got I'm talking about the shit tripled and whatnot. You go over to Haiti, the Zoles is running crazy. The shit is off the chain. Like Blue said, it's a major port for drugs. It's a major port for the drug trade. It's become a major port for even the organ harvesting and the quote unquote human trafficking trade. And it's also a major port for the weapons trade.
Yeah, this is a fact. So yeah, there's a lot of high stakes at play. So politics is something that this particular region, if it's not a puppet administration, then they're gonna sprinkle salt, just like that commentary said, just like they sprinkle salt on the earth, just like that the earth is tree barren and things of that nature. And as best they can, they attempt to destroy the agricultural aspects of that country, and destabilize the foundation of it. It's the same thing with the politics, right? Those people are too powerful. If they had time to get into their bag, to get into their literal, to their magic, you
Right.
know. But yeah, shout out to Haiti. You know what I'm saying? May they, because I seen some video with them snatching up some Europeans and marching them. So may they turn up. May they turn all the way up. You feel me?
Right.
And eradicate that country. May this be the catalyst. Hopefully, may this be the one that has them push that crazy bald head finally off the cliff. You feel me? But they got to take the white Jesuses off the wall, and that's
Right.
gonna be hard. That
Very
might
gonna
be
be
asking
hard.
too much. What my dude was like, wait, what? And I don't want to be, again, I don't want my commentary to come across the wrong way, because I understand that's an institutional foundation of a lot of Haitians household, right? They Catholics, they into white Jesus,
Right.
and I just don't know what that psychosis, right? What does it emanate as? If you are people that are very proud because you use traditional systems to get a gorilla off of your back, but you're still worshiping the very thing that those systems extract power from,
Right.
right? Napoleon was just a soldier, right? In an army, not necessarily a Christendom per se, but part of that particular, the extension of that campaign or that crusade.
Right.
So it's like, why doesn't France fall into bad peril and times and fortune? What type of magic they got to repel magic, right? Because they go around to particular regions where melanated people practice the most magic. Remember, the French, they masonry is the most illest.
Right. Right. It's
Okay,
very ill.
they masonry is the most illest because they the most freakish type of person. They are dealing with the internal aspects of your body. Like, they'll get in your body, right? They go about their shit different.
Right.
Right? Certain Europeans will deal with your mind, right? That freak want to get into your body and start assimilating with you and tinkering with those genes to where you got the octoroons and you got the Creoles, and you got Louisiana, New Orleans.
Right.
You feel me?
Indeed.
And then they acculturate those people into their society, and they play these weird games with them, you know, from a sexual place, just like the Dutch. Oh no, not so much the Dutch, but the Portuguese.
Woo.
Right?
Portuguese that's in Brazil.
Yeah, read them stories what the Brazilians say about how them Portuguese get it in.
Oh, they get it in.
Yeah, right. Them some weird motherfuckers.
They get it in big time.
They have weird sexual proclivities. And in order to defeat somebody in warfare, you have to understand their sexual proclivities, because that is going to tell you everything that you need to know about the primal nature of the animal that you up against.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And again, somebody said, why is Jesus the strongest voodoo out there? You know, I'll share with you what was told to me in ceremony and traditional systems. You feel me? They say ain't no stronger entity than that. Now you could take it how you want. I didn't say it. I'm repeating to you what has been told to me by people who are considered high priests of those systems. Right? They don't have nothing for that system. They said that the shit is powerful in spirit realm. And I've heard that from more than one person to attest to it. Think about how much blood and sacrifice has been made to that particular deity. And motherfuckers will be like, oh, it ain't real. For real, it is magnetized by blood. Right? Yeah.
Right.
And then little baby, right?
Free little baby.
Was he in Paris?
To this day. To this day.
Lee baby.
Little baby. Free little baby.
What country was they in?
They was in France.
See?
They went to the Balenciaga fashion show. They pulled over him and James Harden and found 20 grams of marijuana and locked up Le Bebe.
Le Bebe.
They put Le Bebe in the chain gang.
Right?
You know what I'm talking about?
Right? How you gonna put them in chains then tickle them?
They got niggas from the A. They got shooters ready to fly over there. Le Bebe.
Oh no, they ready to go. You know
they ready to go. I don't know. They ready to get them Hellcats and get over there. The trackers, like you gotta let little baby go.
Again, you know the emphasis never goes back to the origin points and the roots. That's what I'm saying. Is like, let's look at the totality of this picture. You feel me? And you know the French don't get put under the microscope enough. You know.
Oh no, they be on their Casa Sose.
Like, look, again, look at that again. Go into the continent and see how the French orientate themselves with melanin. Right? See how close they get, right? Into them people's genetics where they all the way in their psyche, right?
Right.
And then people don't no longer want to be whatever they was before they came into contact with the French. You understand?
They absorbed them.
Look
at what they did to Morocco. So they've knocked over. They knocked over spiritual centers on this planet.
That's what I'm trying to.
They knocked over Kemet with Napoleon. They knocked over the Morocco, Algiers at its heights, and they knocked over Haiti. You know what I'm talking about? With all of that voodoo, and they knocked over Louisiana. Come on now, these motherfuckers, and like you said, high masonry.
Where in Senegal? Where are they at on the continent?
They in Mali.
Right? Yeah, French Mali, right?
They where the Dogons at.
Yeah. 2 years ago, there was massacres that took place in Dogon land. Right? And again, it was implied that French forces were paying, because Timbuktu as well, they went, when ISIS and them was running through Timbuktu and burning the libraries, they were implicit with that. And then there was massacres up in Mali, right? Setting up the oncoming Shiji. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. This coming about 2025. So the elders have to be able to, those are the walking libraries, and then the youth are the ones that come into ceremony and get these traditions so they can carry on the 60-year cycle of Sirius. they're knocking them people off right now. So these particular ceremonies are going to look very different.
Right.
You feel me? So yeah, like it's and then the disrespect of melanated people in France right now and all the riots they was having. Remember the youth in the last 3 and 4 years when they was
They was
turned
going,
up?
yeah, was that the yellow vests? They was going in. They was turning up
They was
in
going
France.
in, right?
And this
They
was
was
before
going in.
COVID.
Yeah, this was
Remember, because
before
the Hong
COVID.
Kong, yeah, them in Hong Kong was doing, they was
France and
setting it
Hong
off every
Kong
weekend.
was turning it up. You know what I mean? And you know, I've seen conspiratorial videos on Mark Hunt. What's his name?
Macron?
Yeah. I ain't gonna get into all that, but yeah, you know, and then the way that France even plays again to the so-called date with destiny. When I talk about, you know, these biblical narratives and how they playing out, you feel me, with Genesis 13:15 and the Jubilee and all of this stuff, you know, royal bloodlines. Then you start talking about Rosalind Chamber and all the stuff that comes out of France with the Merovingians, right, and the bloodline of Christ and all of that stuff that goes on. You know what I mean? And the catacombs underneath the city, those
Right.
chambers and all of that stuff. Like, yeah, France is something else. It's a piece of work.
Mm.
You feel me? And they never get put on the hot seat. They never get put in the spotlight and get called for the true devils that they really are. You
Right.
know what I mean? But they have disseminated themselves into the psyche of our people, where our people will defend them with their lives. Right? There's certain Haitians that will not allow you to talk crazy about France.
There's certain Africans that will
Oh,
knuckle
forget
up.
about it. Oh,
If you
they'll
go in
knuckle
on
up. They're gonna
France,
they're gonna hit you with the they got the sharp shoes on.
you got a
You know what I'm
UFC them
saying?
niggas. Yeah.
You gonna get
He start kicking him
MMA,
in the
nigga.
shin.
Yeah,
Like, what?
they're gonna
Yo,
try to MMA you. They're gonna
they'll
try to
go full
Pele you.
UFC on
Like,
you,
yeah, like
bro.
they're gonna try to Pele you.
They'll try to Pele a nigga.
Damn. The French have assassinated 22 presidents on the African
On the
continent.
continent.
Right?
Facts.
What entity are they feeding? What egregor, right? What voodoo do they know that gives them the level of protection where they can run ramshod through spiritual senses and pay no repercussions? And then we
None.
could talk about the British, and then we could talk about the Dutch, and then we could talk about the Portuguese afterwards.
Right.
And then we could talk about the Spaniards
The
afterwards.
Spaniards after that. But yeah, we wanna, you know, what's up with
But
the French
France?
though?
Come on, y'all.
French African countries are usually Muslim. Facts. Remember, France in their Moorish conquest, right? They
No,
snuffed the,
you gotta
huh?
explain it to them.
Well,
What is the French connection?
yeah. When it comes to the French connection,
Oh no.
and
Yeah, I'm talking about the French connection as it pertains to what you're talking about. Then I'll talk about the French connection as it pertains to in the modern context.
right, I'm gonna tie them both in.
All right.
So France or the Franks and whatnot, they, along with the other European nations, which comprised what is known as Christendom, right? Christendom was a collection of nation states before they were even called Spain and Germany. These were kingdoms prior.
Right.
The kingdom of Spain, which was Aragon and Castile,
Castile. Yes.
underneath King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella in the
Yes.
year 1492, January 1st, defeated after a 700-year conflict that was entitled or went by the name of the Reconquista, which is the reconquest, and alongside the quote unquote Inquisition and alongside what is known as the Crusades, they were able to defeat the Moors, right? Yeah, remember what Macron said about the woke community is a national threat, but we'll talk about that in a minute. And the Spaniards, right, sent Columbus, Christopher Cologne, and his quote unquote his band of conquistadors and crusaders to the Americas. They sent the Portuguese, because when they quote unquote split up the New World and they gave access to the one sphere of the planet, they gave it to the Spaniards, and the other sphere of the planet they gave it to the Portuguese.
Yes.
And the Pope basically said, I believe it's Pope Innocence, who's not that innocent. He said, whatever you find or whatever you discover, right, you claim the name in the name of the church, and basically you plant your flag, and that's our shit. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Again,
Basically.
family, that was called the doctrine of discovery. We heavily recommend that you Google that, right? That you Google age of discovery and the doctrine
Right.
of discovery, so you can understand when they use colorable language such as Columbus discovered America, what are they talking about? Because they're using language that is befitting, right, to the
Right.
particular concepts that they are relaying. And the concept that they are relaying in this case is that there was a edict that was handed down from the church, right, a papal bull, and it was
Yeah.
called the doctrine of discovery, and they were able to come to any land that they encountered that did not accept Christ. Okay, they were allowed to overthrow that land in the name of Christ, in the name of the church, right? So the Intercatera,
Divina.
1490, hmm?
Intercatera Divina.
Yeah, of 1493, I believe, was the binding document that they have utilized. It was the first piece of what's considered international law, and it's called the
Right.
Doctrine of Discovery, and it has not been. They allegedly said that it has been, what you call it,
Eradicated.
rescinded,
It hasn't
but
been rescinded.
it has not been rescinded. You know what I'm saying? Our indigenous communities here in this country are the ones who are still actively fighting it. You know, shout out to the indigenous families here in the quote unquote Americas. They're the ones that are still actively pushing to get this particular document rescinded in international courts. As long as that binding document or that flag still flies, you feel me?
Right.
Then how can you receive any level of redress if the campaign, or you know, I'm talking about, this is the place from where the signal, you know what I mean, like how you be putting that homing signal in the ocean and everything emanates from it, you still got to find that homing signal. Yeah, that papal bull, that's the smoking gun right there. That's how you bring a international class action lawsuit in international court that is in the multi-trillions,
Yeah, this is $1 trillion
right?
action.
You do a class action, a diasporic class action suit against the church, and you bankrupt the church, right? By showing how much blood the church has on its hand
Right.
because of the doctrine of discovery, and their refusal to rescind it means that they are complicit with the wholesale slaughter and genocide of multiple nations of people in the bankrupting of the planet in the name of Christ.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
so I'm gonna leave it at that.
So this is where we get this is what ties into critical race theory, and why all of these Europeans are shitting in their boots in these quote unquote Republican states, and these states that are responsible, I mean, all 50 states that are responsible for lying to our babies, like they lied to us, like they lied to our parents, and like they lied to our grandparents, and told them all of this bull BS crap about the Americas being discovered by Christopher Columbus, and it was uninhabited and it was an empty land. And the fact that the Aztecs disappeared in Mexico, nobody knows where they are, but they left the city of gold. All of that bullshit that they've been teaching us. Now, if you've been fed bullshit all your life and you live under false pretenses, and your subconsciousness is built off of a false paradigm and a false narrative, and your foundation is shaky, how the hell are you going to be able to stand in front of the truth? How could you stand on the truth? How do you even know the truth when the shit smacks you in the face? How do you even know the truth when it's hidden in plain sight? Your foundation is false, right? So the papal bulls of the 15th century gave Christian explorers the right to claim lands they discovered and lay claim to those lands for their Christian monarchs, right? That's the sanitized way of saying that they were basically taking shit with the sword in the Bible, okay? The Jesuits killed a lot of people. You damn right. The Jesuits is the military arm of the quote unquote Christian church. The Jesuits were the ones who initiated the quote unquote the murderous campaign that was called the Inquisition. You have Thomas, what was his name? One of the top Jesuits. He was a maniac. You have Loyola. You have what was Thomas? It was Thomas something. He was one of the head Inquisitionists. So the Inquisition was basically like, yo, I heard that you are Moor, or I heard that as a European woman, you have you've been dealing with the Moors. You're a crypto Muslim, right? You hear cryptocurrency, but crypto Muslims are people who practice Islam in secrecy. So they instituted a snitch campaign. That's where the first snitching campaigns were coming out of the Inquisition. Your neighbor,
something.
huh?
See something, say something.
See something, say something. St. Thomas Aquinas and whatnot, right?
Oh,
St. Thomas Aquinas,
yeah,
right? Right? So they would be like, yo, that your neighbor was snitch on you, but this is how they was doing it. You had Moorish people living in palaces, or you had Europeans or other people of descent of African descent that were living very good in Europe and whatnot. So their neighbors who lived in barns, who were very poor and didn't have it like that, they were basically snaking their neighbors and handing them into the Inquisition, similar to what the FBI and the quote unquote police do with the what's that shit where they take your property?
Seizure laws.
The seizure laws that they have. Where,
yeah,
where they basically just snatch your stuff and claim that you were an assailant, or you committed a crime, or you were a drug dealer, or whatever they claim. They basically forfeit your property. They forfeit your land. They could take your whole estate.
Yeah, forfeiture. They hit you with conspiracy.
Right? So Ignatius Loyola started the Jesuit order. That is the military arm of the church. Okay, that's why you have the Black Pope, and that's why you have the Holy See, the White Pope. The Black Pope comes out of the Jesuit orders. You have a Jesuit Pope on the throne right now. What you say, Blue?
The Black Pope, the White Pope, and the Gray Pope.
Black Pope, White Pope, Gray Pope. The Black Pope would be the Jesuit Pope. That's the Pope Francis that you got right now. Okay, so when the Moors, when they went ahead and they had their campaign and they were taking over the Americas, or they were invading the America, they weren't taking it over per se. They had to fight. There was hundreds of years of fighting before anything got taken over. 1492, Christopher Columbus. What's the date that Spike Lee and them niggas say that 1619 for slavery? My niggas, that's a stretch. You know what I'm talking about? That's like saying 2021 and then shit jumped off in 2200. What the fuck was going on in 200 years? As you know, a lot goes on in 1 year. So imagine what was going on in 200 years. So there was a lot of conflicts. There was a lot of battles. There was a lot of things taking place. And, you know, eventually, because of their quote unquote advanced in warfare and whatnot, they had armor, they had guns, they had swords. The Americas, the people in the Americas, they didn't have all of that, even though they were whooping their asses and whatnot. You know what I'm talking about? But fast forward to
gunpowder was the major determinant. It was the major factor that fueled the rise of Eurasia, period. Right. Europeans and Asians access to gunpowder changed the game.
Gunpowder definitely changed the game. What they were fighting for and what they were after were trading routes. Okay, don't ever let them rock you to sleep and tell you anything else. They were after trading routes. Henceforth, why they were trying to make it to India to do what? Get the motherfucking spices. They were looking to go to India to get the spices. They wanted to invade what is known as the Silk Road. They wanted the trade routes, because if you took the trade routes, you were in the money. Europe was dead broke. Europe was about to be completely bankrupt. Europe was about to be in the motherfucking water, man. They was about to be on Section 8. The discovery of gold in the Americas helped change that. You know what I'm talking about? We're not even talking slavery yet. The discovery of gold deposits and silver deposits in the Americas helped turn that whole thing around. Okay? They were asked out prior to that. Anyway, so because of the fact that the Moors were on a run, because of the fact that they pushed the Moors out of Spain. Remember, so going back to what I was saying earlier before, the Moors were basically they split from the other Islamic factions that were in Afghanistan, Iraq, messing with Baghdad. They had caliphates. They were basically Arabs and whatnot. The Moors that were in Spain and things of that nature, who were from Senegal and other places, these were dynasties. They basically lost support from those from those factions of Moors. So when the Moors get kicked out of Europe and they're on the run, the Africans who was told by the Arabs that you can't rock with them, what do you think they did to them? They did not let them come back to Senegal and certain other places. They turned their backs on them as well. So what did the Moors do? They took to the seas and whatnot. And this is when you have the rise of what is known as the corsairs, the privateers, and what you know as the quote unquote pirates, right? The pirates of the Caribbean, the pirates of the Iberian Peninsula, the pirates of the Barbary pirates,
Barbary Coast, right?
The Barbary Coast, the Barbary pirates,
Barbarians,
right? So when France comes in, right, along the quote unquote 1800s, right, the France is responsible for doing what? Taking over Algeria. So the conquest of Algeria began in the last days of the Bourbon Restoration by Charles X of France. It aimed to put a definite end to Barbary privateering and increase the king's popularity among the French people, particularly in Paris, where many veterans of the Napoleonic Wars lived. Keep in mind, when you do your research, shout out to Ross Ben, who did an excellent presentation last night in his books, Free Your Mounds and Your Ass Will Follow. He showed you that Paris was New Rome, was Nova Roma, which was basically, it was a copy of Rome before they erected DC and things of that nature. Paris was the New Rome. Okay? Paris was the New Rome. That's Nova Roma. So if you see the documentary Battle of Algiers, which I suggest everyone watch, that is required watching the Battle of Algiers. If you want to get on some revolutionary type of things, you need to watch that, because it's going to show you in detail what that shit looks like. You feel me? It's not what you think it is. The first people that they knocked off in the Battle of Algiers was the pimps and the prostitutes. Why? Because they said in war, you cannot trust a pimp or a prostitute. Anybody that's for sale got to go first. Get them the fuck out of here.
Right.
Okay.
They're the most susceptible to flip.
They're the most susceptible to get flipped.
Yeah.
They didn't need them. So they knocked them off first. And then they began to run down. It was a guerrilla campaign in Algiers to run the quote unquote French the fuck up out of there. Now, Algiers, Tunisia, Libya, where Muammar Gaddafi is from, and Tunis, the Tunis and Libya being the original Carthaginians. Okay, that was Carthage, where Hannibal, right? Hannibal the Great and whatnot, those warriors come from. But when they defeated them, they grazed, they scorched and burned the whole land, and was like, no other Carthaginian will ever rise up from here. So the spirit of Hannibal and the spirit of those Moors who fought against the Europeans way back in the days, the Romans and whatnot, during the
Punic Wars.
Punic
Wars.
During Punic Wars 1, 2, and 3, that spirit was in those pirates, those Barbary pirates. The first war that America fought was against the Barbary pirates. Yeah, I'm talking Moorish to you. The first war on sea, look it up, that America fought was against the Barbary pirates. It's called the Barbary Wars, okay? And they were able to defeat the Barbary powers by a fucking by the skin in their teeth. So the rise of the USA Navy, right? The rise of the USA Navy was a result of that. They even have it in their song and whatnot. The whole Navy song, from the shores of Tripoli to this what do you say, the halls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli.
Facts. So not only did their first Navy get inaugurated by this particular conflict, again, they also utilized the Sultan, you know, to Marine song. They also utilized the Sultan to give them their credentials, right? To recognize them.
Right.
Them their operating authority.
Right.
By
So
one sovereign recognizing you as another. Hold on, case in point, this was the whole conversation they were having in the UN about people overstepping their boundaries and recognizing Palestine as a state, right? If China is like this, we recognize you as a state. Then once they get resurrected or inaugurated or accepted as a state, then they can gain access to the Security Council.
Right. They have nationalities now.
Yeah.
They're a nation.
So they're a nation. So that's what that's about.
Right. You would want to get recognized, my niggas. You know what I mean? So the term that I read earlier called privateers. Privateers are different than quote unquote pirates. Privateers are basically, Christopher Columbus was a privateer. Why do I say that? Because he was for hire. The crown hired him to carry out. The majority of the Europeans that came to the Americas were privateers and pirates. They were insured, and these niggas were on a job to bring back resources and information to the crowns of Europe. If they went rogue, they would get bodied. They would send somebody to kill them. So privateers, the sultans, the quote unquote days and the bays, the sultans were hiring the quote unquote the pirates, the corsairs and whatnot, to take over the seas. And what were they doing? They were murking shit. They were taking over ships. They were hopping on slave ships, and they were killing the fuck. If you did not pay them tribute, your ass was grass. They would take the slave ship and they would sell the slaves at a slave port. So what America was trying to do is, these niggas was not trying to pay tribute to the Barbary pirates, the Barbary powers and whatnot. They were trying to send their boats through, and they was not paying the fucking toll. So what happened? They went to war, and they got dusted off first time, and then they came back and they won again. Man, like Decatur, you niggas living in Decatur, Georgia and whatnot. I think Decatur, there's a few people. I think Thomas Jefferson, it's a few of those Europeans that we know about. They had something to do with that war and whatnot. Some of them were veterans of that war. Yeah, Barbarossa and his family line, Redbeard, Blackbeard, shit like that, right? Shit like that. You feel me? Pirates of the Caribbean. That's a Moorish story. You know what I'm talking about? That white boy is a renegado. Yeah. They call him renegados. Look at Jack Sparrow. He got dark hair. He's olive complexion, gold teeth. Yeah. He had locks and some point his hair would lock up. He was like an Irish in a sense. He was amalgamated. And then in the third Pirates of the Caribbean, they gave you the whole. They gave you the line of all of the corsairs. They gave you the Asian one. They gave you the dude that was running the Black Sea. They gave you a whole bunch of them. They showed you the whole family of pirates. That's a Moorish. That's Disney's version of the Moorish saga.
And Disney tells a lot of versions of Moorish sagas. You can find the Masonic Moorish aspect of it in what is it? National Treasure.
National Treasure 1 and 2.
Right, 1 being in the Grand Canyon, 2 being in Mount Rushmore.
Right.
I mean, yeah, homie was a Moor. So, you know, the Pirates of the Caribbean. I have been to St. Thomas. You see Yellowbeard's fort in St. Thomas. You learned about Sir Francis Drake.
Sir
Right?
Drake.
Talk about Captain Morgan.
Captain Morgan
Port
and them.
Royale, Jamaica.
So Port Royale, right? The reason why a lot of the Jamaicans fight against the Batsy Boy them, the Chichi Man, and I'm not necessarily saying that's the only reason, but the pirates, they were known for their quote unquote promiscuity towards men, right? Seamen, men that were on the sea for all of those or all of that time and whatnot. Another nigga started looking like a steak. You know what I'm talking about? And there's a lot of stories and whatnot about the LBGT, movement with these pirates. And then it spills over into the Marines. It spills over into a whole bunch of things. Hitler's whole, with the Hitler Youth and, all of them people that was on the seas. But anyway, Port Royale was attached to Jamaica. It was one of the main popping ports for the pirates. Port Royale was destroyed in an earthquake, right? It was completely destroyed, and I believe the shit sunk. You dig what I'm saying? And a lot of the Jamaicans were like, that was some, they thought they were giving it up to like voodoo and other things that may have been behind that, because a lot of the pirates were dealing with a lot of it was a lot of outlaw shit going on over there. There's a lot of outlaw shit going on. They was doing a lot of fuckery, and they were taking, they were basically really, on the edge over there, the pirates and whatnot. A lot of drunkenness. It was lawlessness. They were not following certain types of, mandates that you would see where you had Emirates. People were respected boats that pulled up and all of that. That wasn't going down in Port Royale. And like Blue was saying, those pirates were wreaking havoc across the Atlantic and the Pacific. They were going in. That's why a lot of ships were being sunk. A lot of those slave ships were being captured and intercepted and whatnot. You had to pay the motherfucking piper. When they saw them flags, when they saw that ship pop up and it had a pirate flag on it, you was, your ass was grass if you did not pay the ransom. If you did not pay the ransom, pirates, buccaneers, corsairs, privateers, river pirates, and other involved in piracy and piracy related activities. Always keep your eyes and your ears open, because they'll throw that shit out there. Because when they was cooking the Somalians, they were using a whole bunch of rhetoric that was like, trigger words and things of that nature that was alluding to that whole Barbary situation and whatnot. And these are the things they speak to each other in double speak. They'll be talking to the media, the media will be talking to the public, and at the same time, they'll be talking to people who inside of these Masonic lodges and these quote unquote, these secret societies in their language, in their language. Yes, the black flags were the pirates and the red flags were the slavers. Exactly. Okay. So when people say, oh, how could there be European slaves and whatnot? I just showed you that the pirates would turn into raiders and whatnot, and they would go along certain shorelines, and they would basically raid the shoreline and scoop up European women and boys. Those are who they mainly grabbed. They were grabbing young boys, and they was grabbing those women. The Isles of England, the Isles of Italy, the shores of Italy, the Iberian Peninsula, all up and down the Iberian Peninsula. Europeans lived in perpetual fear of the fucking Moors when they was at sea, because they were ruthless. Okay,
right.
The Irish came to the islands as slaves. You damn right. That's how some of the island. That's because niggas is like, oh, Irish and Jamaica, those are slave masters. You fucking retard. You know what I'm talking about? Excuse the French. Those were indentured servants, my niggas. Those were slaves. They was living right next to Bob Marley and them. Wasn't his father Irish or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, those people was in the fields. They wasn't just superior. They didn't have no ownership over you.
Irish, are the niggas of quote unquote the white world, and they didn't get their stripes until the early 1900s. You can see it in a movie called Gangs of New York.
Gangs
right?
in New York show you.
Not until the draft riots of 1909, I think it was, right?
Right.
When they put in work on melanated people. Not until then. That's how they cut their teeth, and they was accepted into the wider body of whiteness, right? Whiteness is a social construct that was established recently. You feel me? Very recently. And it was for political purposes. So when the Irish exerted themselves like that, the Europeans put them in charge of, sanitation, fire departments, the police department. And then, then they became part of unions and trades and shit. And we
And
all
they absorbed them
went,
into
yeah.
white culture.
And we
And
are
then
where we
after,
at today. And they assimilated into that. The Jews
and then
wasn't
after
part of
they,
that.
yeah, after they did the Irish, they did the Italians.
Yeah. Then
The
the
Italians
Jews,
came after that.
right.
The Italians were niggas in America until the early 1900s. Look it up. They were being lynched along. They were called niggas with slick hair. They was completely olive. The early Italians, when they was in Louisiana, they were building the railroads and whatnot. They was I'm talking about they was dark olive complexion with wavy hair. Them niggas looked like Dominicans, and they was hanging them, and they were lynching them as well, and they were locking them up, and they did not fuck with them. Okay, they got their whole shit cleaned up by the Jews, Meyer Lansky and them, when they took over Hollywood, and they were portraying them as the quote unquote admirable mobsters. That's how they got cleaned up, because the Jewish mafia didn't want to show their hand. They don't depict themselves in Hollywood movies. They gave you the Italians as a scapegoat. They didn't show their hand. So you didn't, that's Kaiser Sose. Kaiser Sose in the movie Usual Suspects is the whole Usual Suspects. Each one of them represent a nationality. Kaiser Sose will be the Jew or the small hat, the one who basically plays, meek, the one who plays, always meek and always the victim, and the one who couldn't harm anyone, but he was the wisest and he was the most shrewd amongst all of them, and he ruled in secrecy. And then after they cleaned up the Irish and after they cleaned up the Italian, guess who else became white? The Eastern European Jew, the Polak, who came, and how did he get his power? Through Hollywood. And what did he do? He began changing his name. You don't see their real names in the movies. You don't see their real names as the leader, as the heads of the studios. They became anglicized the same way that niggas in China came over here and they English, the same way that the Africans be coming over here anglicized. My nigga, you're Mahmoud. How is you Jeffrey? He's coming to school, talk about I'm Jeffrey, you Jeffrey Johnson? Really? No, my nigga, you Mahmoud Diallo. Fuck is you saying? Like, wear that. Stay like that. You got Chinese people coming over here. I'm Ben Simmons. No, you're not. You're Chin Lu. Fuck is you saying?
American.
That's what you can do in America. Yes. Go and watch Empire of Their Own. It's on YouTube. It is a free documentary. It's a multiple parts. So you don't think that I'm shooting from the hip. The European, the Jew who was living in the ghetto. What is a ghetto? What is a ghetto? They was living in tenements. They were living in ghettos. They were working the Nickelodeons and they were working the quote unquote vaudevilles. They were fur sellers. A lot of them were into the fur game, right? The Russian from German, the German Jew and a Russian Jew looked down on the Polish Jews, similar to what you see taking place during the Holocaust. Who did they swarm on? The Polak, right? So they looked down on them. They was like, that's an inferior breed. You know what I'm talking about? And in the Americas, when they came over here and the Russians was getting their shit together and the German was getting their shit together, the quote unquote Polak in them, they wasn't getting their shit together like that. They wasn't advancing like that. They wasn't even letting them niggas into certain type of synagogues. How did they come up? They came up on Hollywood. They founded those 5 different studios and whatnot. They came together as a conglomerate, and they've been taking off ever since. And they were rewarded with American, what they call a American citizenship, huh?
Citizenship.
They were rewarded with that, and they were rewarded with being absorbed into what is known as highbrow society or
Right.
blue blood society.
And they created something that became known as the American dream. That was a construct,
Right.
that was created and introduced through Hollywood, right, through that lens. It was
Right.
a concept and a construct that was purely out of the mind of Eastern Jews to say, this is what we aspire to as American. It was the aspirational aspects of the dream, right? They were the
Right.
ones that were able to market that.
Right. Ralph Lipschitz, right? My nigga Ralph Lipschitz. You know what I'm talking about? Who's Ralph Lauren now? Ralph Lipschitz.
Ralph Lipschitz.
Ralph Lipschitz. You know what I'm saying?
Facts.
The original Hollywood in Florida. That's yeah. Before they went to Cali, which was an orange grove, right? Hollywood was originally an orange grove. They tried it out a few times, and when they settled on California, the shit worked. They had beef with Thomas Edison. He was on their backs, pause, because he was trying to take over the film industry, and he had a monopoly on film and things of that nature. Do the research. You know what I'm talking about? Do the research. How are we still in the we wasn't even in the ghetto when they was in the ghetto? What the fuck? I promise you. Don't fall for the okie doke. We weren't even in the ghetto when they was in the ghetto. Why is we in the ghetto right now? And they got us in school with these crying hearts over these people. Oh, they went through so much. No, how they came up out the ghetto and you didn't. You still in the tenements and they own the ghetto now. They didn't do it in 1 century. They did this within 1 century, fam. In the 1920s and 30s, they were not considered, huh?
Yeah, there's supposed to be transference of upward mobilities for different ethnic social stratas. So
right.
The Irish came, they came to the ghetto, they left it to the Jew. They pushed up in their social strata, right? Same way that the Italian did. You know what I'm saying?
Godfather 2. When you see them in Mulberry Street and all that, huh?
Yeah, they showed you that whole thing with the social strata. We come here as immigrants, right? We either do dirt or do our legal work or a combination of both. You feel me? We're able to put our children to school. They become the lawyers, doctors, police, judges, what have you. They move up in the quote unquote social strata, up the ladder. You know what I mean? Boom. The thing that they had to occupy, they leave that behind. The next person comes in and then they do their thing. Every particular ethnic group have a particular part of the underworld that they also utilize to push them up and push them through. So the issue with the melanated people in particular is they never retain control over any underworld vices. You feel me? So they were never able to propel and push themselves all the way up through the social strata. You know, that's an observation. You know what I mean? Too puritanical.
The Russians brought the circus and carnivals back. Then Germans brought silent movies. Right. So that was back what I'm saying. Nickelodeons, right? Because you had the Vaudevilles and you had the Nickelodeons.
You might have to tell what Nickelodeons are. Not everybody knows.
Nickelodeons were the nickel movies and whatnot. They were the nickel, you pay a nickel, and they basically were like the plays and whatnot. You feel me?
Moving pictures
and whatnot. Charlie Chaplin and things of that nature. So before the rise of the moving pictures, or what they call the movies and whatnot, you had the Nickelodeons and you had the vaudevilles and you had things like these circuses and these, you know, cheap theaters. You feel me? So that's what they were they were monopolizing those things. Entertainment. You feel me? Entertainment, right? They were getting into that. These are the ledgers of the world as well. They're the bookkeepers. Okay, they're the ones who keep the books. So they got into financing, they got into insurance, everything dealing with accounting and bookkeeping, being the ledgers and whatnot. They was into that. Then they jumped into everything entertainment, and then once they finagled their way into entertainment, they started implementing other forms of their entertainment that they were responsible and they were known for throughout the centuries. Pornography and other things like that. That's where the pogroms and whatnot in Europe came. They were being burnt at the stake, run out of countries, chased down, exiled out of places because of their quote unquote sexual deviancy and the rumors of them with the bloodletting with the children and shit like that. Right. So once they start getting a hold of the movie industry, then they bring in the debauchery and whatnot, and they sneak, you know, they implement that in there. Henceforth, Larry, what's his name? Larry Flint, Hugh Hefner, those are Jews, you know? And like Blue said, they designed the American dream through Hollywood. If you watch the documentary Empire of Their Own, the European, the quote unquote white Anglo-Saxon Protestant, the WASP, they was like, I don't even know what these niggas is. They giving us a reality that I don't even know where this come from. They was like, this shit is beautiful. We don't live like this, but we will if you know we're gonna, you know, we'll portray it. This is a great portrayal of they're sanitizing our bloody hands. They're sanitizing the fact that we're barbaric. They're sanitizing our role in slavery. They're sanitizing Jim Crow. They're sanitizing the fact that a lot of the Europeans were dirt ass poor before FDR and all of these deals that they came up with post World War II and whatnot. When you look at the pictures of the quote unquote depression, that you see them mostly looking all tattered and whatnot.
Yeah,
That wasn't how we was living like that. We wasn't going on like that.
it was clean. Yeah.
It was clean, my niggas. If you look at Cab Calloway, if you look at the Garvey marches, if you look at what Noble Drew Ali and them was doing when they was taking pictures, everybody was clean.
And then, like Mom said, go look at Joe Louis, right?
Joe Louis and them, right?
Was coming back to Harlem. Go look at those parades, right? Look how clean it was. Look at the streets of Harlem. She said it was so clean in the 50s when she was a child. It was sparkling. You could eat food off the ground.
That's a fact.
Before dope, right? We had our spaces immaculate.
Before they brought in dope.
Immaculate.
And thank you for bringing that up.
We were not ruffians. We were not dirty and dusty people. You know, I mean, of course, I'm sure that they had some hoods and some tenements, but again, exceptions are not the rules.
Exceptions are not the rules.
Feel me?
Now, earlier we was talking about the French connection by way of the French going up in Algiers and what they did by taking over that spiritual quote unquote empire, that spiritual, you know, piece of the puzzle that was very instrument. I mean, if anybody ever been to Morocco and Marrakesh, if anybody ever been to Fez, if anybody's ever been to Tunisia, if anybody's ever been to what they call the Oriental or the Levant, then you know what I'm talking about, right? This is where France had their fangs inside of and whatnot. Later on down the line, the French aligned themselves, right? Just to show you how they're Moorish, because this is a lot of Moorish, anti-Moorish sentiment where they were doing a disservice. They knew what they were doing. They were doing a disservice to Moors in the Americas by aligning themselves with the Italians, who are the Romans. Let's be clear. This is the army of Rome. These are Romans. Italians are Romans. The mafia in particular are the bastard children of the Moors. Henceforth, you could not be in the mafia if you did not have blood in your veins from a Southern Italy mother. Okay? Not Northern Italy, Southern Italy. Everywhere on the planet that's down south, that's southern, you already know what it is. Okay?
Right. So we know
These
what
some southern
that
niggas.
Sicilian blood was about.
That's what that Sicilian blood is about. Go and watch True Romance. And there's a few other movies that break that down, right? Okay. Now, Lucky Luciano, who basically was, you know, he was an operative. He was a government operative. He worked with the government during World War II to help them defeat Mussolini and whatnot. And by doing that, they helped him get out of Alcatraz, right? Lucky Luciano has a plug with Bumpy Johnson because Bumpy Johnson and Lucky Luciano are inside of Alcatraz together, and basically, I guess he holds him down. They show this in the TV series Godfather of Harlem. Henceforth, while I was telling everybody you need to watch that, they're going in. It's not 100% actual, but it's a good, you know, it's a good flip on things, right? So when the French Connection was formed, what took place was the crime syndicates of Italy sat down with the crime syndicates of France, and they enacted a pipeline of heroin into the Americas. This heroin would be distributed by the Italian mafia in America, particularly in places like Harlem, the Carolinas, and places where niggas resided because they were not pumping dope into Little Italy.
Right.
Baltimore and other places.
Detroit.
Right? So years later, Moorish strongholds is what they toppled with King Heroin, or the opiate that was known that has crushed empires like China and other places. So in India, so they pumped heroin into the hood, right? And by doing that, they started what was known as the chemical wars on our people that we still suffering
to this day. To this day.
To this day, my niggas. I promise you. I don't even watch Snowfall, but I'm sure that they giving you that work. You know, the French was taking heroin over in Vietnam. There you have it, right? There you have it. But even before that, when they were putting our jazz musicians on that dope, when they was putting the jazz musicians on the dope, when they was putting the gangsters on the dope, you feel me? When they were putting the quote unquote policy bankers on the dope, that was before Vietnam. The dope hit our hood in the 50s. And you know what I'm talking about? They was washing them up before Vietnam. So the French Connection it shows later on, decades later, that the French and the Italians, who both have anti-Moorish gripes and whatnot, the French and the Italians get together and they continue the crusades on the Moors, but only this time it's through chemical warfare. Okay, that's how they play. And they had other Moors, right? They had Moriscos, what would be little Moors, which would be Christianized Moors, doing what? Doing the dirty work. Like you niggas like to point out that the Moors was selling us out. Yeah, they was out here selling dope to the people as well, but they're not considered Moors at this point. They're Christians. They're niggas from South Carolina and North Carolina, Frank Lewis, right? Frank Lucas, Frank Matthews,
Ike Atchison,
Ike Atchison, all of these country niggas that happen to be Christians. Bumpy Johnson and you know, later on, what's his name?
Nicky Barnes.
All these niggas is Christians. Okay. So they all had a hand in our demise as a people, not as a person, as a people. Okay? They played their parts. They had their hand in that shit. When you look at the series Godfather Harlem, and you see what Malcolm was going up against and whatnot with the Nation of Islam when they were trying to clean the hood up and whatnot, just look how desolate, look how destitute that shit looks. They had our women all around them, strewn all on even to this day, I can't walk up 125th Street in Lexington. I got off the train the other day. There was a young man. He couldn't be in his mid-20s. He's standing out there throwing up on dope. Just standing there by the bus stop. I'm talking about this nigga was earning Thanksgiving's dinner. He was giving it up. And then you got people laying in the streets looking super crazy. They have a methadone clinic out there. So that shit is zombie land. If I were to go live on Instagram and walk through 125th and Lexington, they will report my video. It would be that gross. The shit crazy. I'm talking about it's crazy. It looks crazy. And it's been like that for decades, my niggas. You know what I'm talking about? It's been like that. That grip that they put on Harlem in the 50s have never really left. Crack came and replaced it. And the niggas is back on dope.
Yeah. It's dust, dope, and that crack.
K2.
K2. Niggas smoking K2 in Harlem.
K2. Fetty. They on that Fetty Wap. That fentanyl. They on the pills. They on that dope. They sniffing that shit. And they on that krills. It's crazy. It's crazy. You know? So I'm like, damn.
And still we rise.
What you say?
I said, and still we rise.
Still we rise.
Yeah. So I'm not gonna be on this thing for long.
Nah, we going into 2.5. I'm about to shut it down because I feel that you know, we've given up some news. I didn't have to wash you from earlier. You was able to redeem yourself.
Yeah, you gave niggas
a reminder. Yeah, a reminder to the family. Hold on. A reminder to the family. I have the link in the bio. I have the link in the description for both of the lectures that me and Blue have coming up. This is going to be visual. It's going to be a visual lecture, over 200 slides on each one. The shit is going to go very deep. There's things that we can't talk about on YouTube that we'll be able to get at on Zoom. We're going to explore a whole lot of things. So I definitely look forward to the family pulling up and you know, being a part, being a student, coming with your pen and your pads and getting some of this metaphysical information that we're about to deliver y'all. So yeah, let them know, Blue.
Some of this historic information, some of this, you know, again, an opportunity to correct some errors, right? And give you a template that you can operate according to in real time, because you can see some things that's gonna make it hard to smile.
Yes, you are. Like,
you know, need to know how to, you know, do your Tommy two-step. You feel me?
Yes, indeed. And what we are attempting to do, family, is to outfit you into we want to arm you with the truth. We want to help fill in some of those gaps. We want to help your talking points. We want to help strengthen some of your talking points. They're coming in with a new booster shot for the Pfizer. Juvenile desecrated a classic yesterday with Vax That Thing Up. They're going super hard. They're offering conjugal visits if you take the vax. They're knocking people's time off. I mean, God damn it.
Look, they're coming door to door, bro.
They're coming door to door.
You know me? So
they're coming door to door.
Know, this is not about who took it. This is all about who hasn't. And they got a new variant. They got the Delta. You know, they got some other stuff coming right behind. It's waves of this stuff. Right? So you got to be on your A game.
But it's like I was saying, Blue. Last year was the year of fear. This is the year of uncertainty. They're always keeping us on one. They always got us on one foot. They never gonna let you rest. They always have us on our tippy toes. There's always a threat of an unknown danger that's around the corner. Oh, I wonder if they're gonna knock on my door.
This is the culmination of the 20 years of the Age of Terror.
Right.
the age of terror, the invisible enemy. We got a phantom menace amongst us, right? We have
Phantom Menace.
stateless, right? They got stateless. What do they call them? Stateless agents, actors.
Right.
You know, all of that stuff that they already pulled for 20 something years that people didn't push back on or you know call it for what it was. So it's the gumbo now. They put all that shit in the pot. You're gonna get aliens, you know, variants, yeah, delta, alpha,
Arians,
yeah,
aliens,
beta, like yeah,
you know?
it's all going down. You know what I mean? And even when they was talking about the you know, the group, and then
The
they
who?
the rise, the Moors, right? The overemphasis in the news now to UFO. They're into UFO. Why are you focusing on that now?
That's what they saying about them?
Yeah, right.
That
They
they
keep
was into
saying that.
UFOs?
They keep saying that in the headlines, right? They're talking. They're trying to get to Moors, period, right? Because again, they're utilizing them to paint a broader picture,
Broader picture.
same way they
Right.
try to do with the Miami Seven. So you know, it was 11 of them, right? But what, seven got charged? 7-11. I mean, it's just like, bro, we already. For those of us that have already been there before, we've already been there before. We've seen this one before, right? But this time is different because of social media, right? And this time is different because of the times that we in. So I'm just saying you have to be very careful of you know, what can be perceived as real can be also an illusion.
Facts.
You know what I mean? What can be perceived as real can also be an illusion. And the best thing to do is utilize the opportunity to teach, but you got to teach from a place where you know what you teach, and it has to be right and exact. You know what I mean?
Facts.
Yeah, man. I pray for unity in this community to some degree. I just, you know, can we maybe maybe there'd be a magic spell that have people see the game that's taking place, right? Be able to see beyond the scope of what you can just see 2 feet in front of your face. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? There's so many rogue agents. There's so many. It's just so much going on right now.
That's a
Got to be very
factory.
careful out here. Um,
Should
cause
I leave him with
they
should I leave him
zoning.
with vax that ass up?
Nah, cause you probably get flagged for that BS. You know what I mean? You're gonna be tight. You wake up with a notification.
All right. Well,
Like,
an assignment for the family. The movie Summer of Soul, the documentary for that matters on Hulu. Go and check that out.
yo, I'm watching the Tomorrow War. You seen
The
that yet?
I'm about to watch the Tomorrow War too. Somebody in the chat just said to go see that. That's fire.
Yes. Yes, they go in there.
They going in, right? I heard.
Yeah. I mean, it's what I've been saying, right? Um, this past strong, and I said it on my live Monday when I was walking through the Brooklyn through Bed-Stuy, and I was talking about these babies that I met at the festival. You feel me? And I was like, you know, these babies is different. You know what I mean? And I can tell from my interaction with them, like they babies, but they serious.
Right.
They like this.
Right.
Super focused, eyes don't blink, very
Yeah, they
wide,
very
very
focused.
attentive, very focused. They look like they're not gonna be doing like only 2 years of playtime, then they're gonna be wanting to get into whatever they got here to do. And I said that they retrofitted for a digital era, right? Hence the fact that the way that they interact and interface with technology. I said that they are operating like they know that they are going to be part of a war against AI or be competing with AI in 20 or 30 years, right? So the calibration of their brains is not the same as their parents or ours because they're going to have to be able to deal with a whole different reality of transhumanism that we can clearly see the agenda being set.
Yeah, the evolution of it.
Y'all want me to write this script? Yeah. You want it's a layup, right? Shit that I've been saying for 5 or 6 years. I was able to look back all the way back then to see what was coming, and it's here, right? And Delbert is saying it, definitely Phil, and of course Bobby. But
yeah.
the full culmination of that particular agenda heading into what it is that we're heading into, like I said, you know, yeah, like, and just even when we talk about the Merkabas and the octagonal light ships, and people be like, yo, that might be you coming back from the future to interface and interact with yourself, all of that. Like,
right.
Yeah, that joint got a lot of food in it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so I'm gonna check that out. I'm gonna also check out Forever Purge. You know,
that's out too.
Be able. I'm gonna report back to the family.
Forever Purge is out.
Yeah, I believe so. Somebody said The Order on Netflix. Yeah, man. The movie Infinite. Yeah, we might as well do a watch party.
Yeah, and I started watching Manifest. Terrible acting.
So why everybody talking about it?
Because it's dealing with the same thing that I was talking about with the time warps when I came from Phoenix to Atlanta, and I left at midnight, and then 3 hours later I was in Atlanta at 6 a.m. You know what I'm saying? So, jumping through them time portals.
Right.
Yeah, they had a 5-year time lapse. It was a knockoff for the 4400. I guess nobody saw 4400. I don't know. But
right.
Yeah, so everybody's seen Forever Purge, huh? The movie called Infinite. Heard of that?
Infinite?
Yeah, it's a movie called Infinite.
Yeah, the Tomorrow's Wars on Amazon.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tomorrow's Wars on Amazon. So yeah, family. Yeah, I'm gonna watch the Startup too. I heard good things about that.
Startup? What's that?
Yeah, I'm gonna check that out.
Oh, I think I did see a commercial for that.
So yeah, family. Like I said, we finna tap out. Let me put your Cash App right there. That's me and Blue Pill's Cash App. Feel free to leave a tip at the table. You know what I'm talking about, for this food for thought. Go and get the tickets for the upcoming lectures that we have. We'll do a little bit more promotions before it pops off. But share this with some people that you know. Tell a friend to tell a friend. You know what I'm talking about? Get the word out. We're gonna be doing some good work in a few weeks. We're gonna cook. You know what I mean? We're gonna really cook. I didn't see Loki yet. I did not see Loki yet. I'm gonna give that a little bit more time to heat up, and then I'm gonna hop on that. And
yeah, I gotta see that. That's the Cosmic Cube. That's that.
I like to binge on things like that. I don't like to do week by week and whatnot. I want to just binge on a series like that. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know if they putting it out the whole thing at once, or if they doing like WandaVision where they was just giving it week by week.
All right, y'all.
Yeah, y'all. We out of here. Appreciate y'all. What song you want me to leave with?
Showing you.
All right. Love and light to the family. We'll see you on Melanin Monday. You dig? You done know.
Lay low, 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 lay low. Stay high, but I lay low. Brainstorm like a rainbow. See the devil playing Halo. You would think I had a game goal. Universe never say no. Pain come, then the pain go. Mankind on the same goal. Mother Nature is a chain though. Turn a king to a Django. Scam bronze with the Shango. I knew everything that they know. Taught them everything that they know. Left like a Thanos. On
on a trip, but I stay close. I ain't even in my play clothes. Yeah, my spirit could be monetized. I would have enough to give a bank loans. If I jump up off a 44-story building, I wouldn't even break bones. I could take it all apart and put it all back together like Legos. Then an egg roll, deep toast, and I face slow.
Put in the work, put in the work. Look at my county, look at my shirt, look at my shirt. To this day, we cooking the turf, we put on the earth. Play with his own, in the first, Ricky and hers, Ricky the burst, Ricky the burst. We look up reserves, we look up your skirts, look at your skirts. Borderless media, look up research, look at research. We shook up the earth, shook up the earth, shook up the earth, we shook up the earth. Lay low, lay low, lay low, lay low, hey ho, hey ho, hey ho. They know, they know, they know, they know. And Draco's dropping that halo. Not for my lances, pay the manses. Pray for some answers. Pay with the Panthers. Magical city, stay with the dancers. Play with the dancers. Stay with some answers. Stay with some answers. Stay with the cancers. No village media, stay with the answers. Stay with the dancers. Crypto advances, triple your chances. Hip with the campus. Crystals is dancing, shifting the planet, lifting the granite. Spin around waves like beat of the spider. Spin around worlds like hip with the lighter. The sweet of the cider, heat up beside her. Flick of the lighter, the gift is inside her. Watching the throne, sit right beside her. We sit right beside her. With the bottom, sipping the cider. We sipping the cider. My chick is a rider. I'm trap of the south, she hip of the lighter. Trap of the south, she hip of the lighter. The gift is inside her. The gift is inside her. Trap of the south, she hip of the lighter. She hip of the lighter. Lay low, 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 lay low. To this day.